to weight or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
You get up every morning and make it all work. You make the hospitals and the labs work. You keep the shelves stocked, the cash registers ringing, the production lines producing. At Vestas, we have the uniforms and workplace supplies you need to do what you do every day. When you think uniforms, floor mats, first aid kits, restroom supplies, think Vestas. Vestas. Uniforms and workplace supplies for the people who make it all work. Learn more at Vestas.com.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. You've heard me for years talk about the health benefits of Rescue Natural Supplements after making their omega-3s as part of my daily routine. From supporting heart health to promoting pain relief, they provide essential nutrients that impact our bodies in so many ways. Listen to this recent comment from Jeff. He says the benefits of Rescue Omegas are worth it. Helps reduce my inflammation and lower my cholesterol. Been taking it for years. See, people like Jeff have trusted Rescue with their health goals, and now it's your turn. For a limited time, use the code OMEGA50 for an exclusive buy one, get one free offer on any of the 7 Rescue Omega-3 choices. To get this special radio offer, call 800-26-ALIVE, 800-262-5483. Use the code online at res-q.com. That's res-q.com. Remember the code OMEGA50, OMEGA50. Buy one, get another Rescue Omega-3 absolutely free.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3, Philadelphia. Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Live and local from Philadelphia. Free speech lives here. It's Kayal and Company on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
And away we go, live on this Friday, October 13th. It is indeed Kayal and Company right here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. We are always live on the free Odyssey app and streaming live for your video viewing pleasure on YouTube. As we head until 10 o'clock this morning, 855-839-1210 is the phone number. On Twitter and Instagram, the radio station at 1210 WPHT. I'm at Nick Kayal, Kayal. Dawn Stenzel with the news. Greg Stocker, the chairman of the board. Daniel Valdez, Anthony Dorenzo, our associate producers. Final show of the week. How about that? Dawn, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Great news for our Phillies. Exciting.
Back to the NLCS, Mr. Stocker.
I would like my $40 in ones, please.
I've got how about rolls of quarters?
Because I'm heading to Delilah's after today's game.
Oh, man. Stocker, the first time he walked into a gentleman's club.
Holy crap! Crisp $1 bills.
Oh, man. What a day. What a night.
Yeah.
We are loaded today. We have got to get to...
Well, can I bask in the fact that I called Nick Castellanos' home run and
he
he
did.
Hit 2?
That was the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And he set a record, so that's not an ordinary thing that you predict. You're psychic, Greg Stocker, at this point.
Hey, you got the Powerball numbers by chance?
He's got the power.
Good God. I'm going to take Stocker to the roulette with me later today.
He's lucky.
He is.
Lucky and psychic.
We both had the Phillies. We both had the unders, but we had tiebreakers with who hits home runs, and you, sir, nailed it.
Yes, sir.
Although Trey Turner was a beautiful cash-in last night if you had him. Plus 440 for a home run. Oh, all right, we got a lot of good stuff to get to.
Schwarber needs to wake up, though.
I know.
My Lord.
Dude.
Now there's
like
always,
$150.
There's always Arizona.
Yeah, there is. Because we've got at least 4 more games left, and I don't think the Phillies will get swept. So we got a lot of baseball left. And we got a lot of good things to get to on the show today. The Second Amendment, now more important than ever on this day, every day, foreign and abroad, whether or not you have a Second Amendment or not. We will get into that story. Also, what Hamas is claiming today to be a global day of jihad,
Happy Global Day of Jihad.
Yeah.
On Friday the 13th.
On
What
Friday,
could possibly go wrong?
I know.
I'm sorry, I didn't bring you guys in anything on this holiday.
That's right. You did not.
Global Jihad Day.
And I'm always willing to accept gifts. So we'll get to that. And then also, we have Steve Scalise dropping out, stepping down, however you want to phrase it. He knew quickly that he was not going to get the 217 votes, so it looks like Jim Jordan, the front runner, and should be all but a formality and certainty, I would assume, at some point today. We'll get to that. And we've got all sorts of good stuff lined up on the cut sheet as well. But before all of that, let's get to the news because it is a newsworthy Friday. It's 6:05 on the 13th, and here is Dawn Stensland.
Yes, and good morning on this Friday the 13th. A much cooler day and a big change in the forecast, that in just a moment. As we're waking up today, we're learning the tragic news here in Philadelphia after a call, officer down. One Philadelphia police officer dead, his partner injured. They were both shot. This shooting took place in a parking garage at Philadelphia International Airport late last night. So this situation developing overnight and into the wee hours of this morning as those two officers were coming into work at parking garage D at the airport. The officers saw multiple suspects attempting to break into nearby vehicles. And so when those officers intervened, according to Interim Commissioner John Stanford of the Philadelphia Police, those suspects opening fire on two uniformed officers. So these are veteran police officers here in Philadelphia. The first officer was hit multiple times, we're told, in his upper body, and the other officer was struck at least once in the arm that we know. So the officer who was shot multiple times, he was rushed to Penn Presbyterian Hospital for treatment. The second officer was originally taken to one hospital for treatment and then later transferred to Jefferson Hospital. But the first policeman who was rushed to the hospital with a more serious condition, with the more serious injuries, we have learned overnight that those doctors, those emergency room doctors, despite every effort, they could not save his life.
So murdering a police officer at the airport.
Yes.
Okay, here's what I would do. Put them on a plane and send these two individuals on a direct flight, nonstop, and drop them off right in front of the headquarters of Hamas. That's what I would do, but if I don't rule the world.
So I don't have the official, the officers, they're not officially releasing their identity, but we know that the officer who has been pronounced dead early this morning, 50 years old, more than 20 years on the force. We know that that individual, he leaves, that officer, he leaves, he was a father and a husband, so his family grieving this morning. Oftentimes in these cases, even if we here know the names of these officers, we're being asked to please withhold that information. Obviously, this is a tragedy. They want to make sure that all the next of kin, that everybody is notified. But we know that as far as law enforcement, they were lining up as the tradition, lining up at the hospital and then bringing his body back. All of that happens in honor and respect of his service, his life, his family. And so that happened early this morning. As far as the surviving officer, we know that officer, middle-aged, also has, we're hearing 22 years on the force. So veterans who are well-known and beloved, that's what I'm hearing. And we also have an interesting update this morning, and that is that an individual matching one of the many suspects' description was transported to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia during that time period. So this is according to Philadelphia police. So they're checking that to see, if the officers were able to return fire. Is this related? But at least one individual, a teenager, is reportedly at Children's Hospital with injuries and matching one of the descriptions. As far as the other suspects, it looks like they got away in a Dodge Durango. And so that's the latest that I have. We're going to update you this morning. It's obviously a tragic situation. We also have this morning the latest, of course, as far as what's going on in Israel. And we've been giving you minute-to-minute updates every single day, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. The latest on this one is that Israeli forces gave out the word for those civilians in Gaza. These are your Palestinians, that they would be given 24 hours to evacuate. And this would be mostly the northern side of Gaza. And so now the latest that we're hearing of the 1.1 million civilians, mostly women and children, would be allowed to leave. However, Hamas is putting out the word, and there are many, many reports that have been verified, Hamas blocking those civilians from leaving. And so this is raising the question, do they become, in essence, captives of this terrorist group?
Mm-hmm.
And if they want to leave or are expressing their wish to live ahead of more airstrikes, and we know that certainly Israeli forces are going after those tunnels underneath. We've been talking about this all week. That's where the hostages are believed to be. And we also have the death toll rising, of course, into the thousands, injuries into the thousands as this escalates. So that's the latest that I'll bring you this morning. We have President Joe Biden is visiting Philadelphia here, expected to announce in Philadelphia a hydrogen plant. And that formation will be announced by the president during his visit today. I will point out to you that usually hydrogen plants, how are they fueled or run? Gas.
It's the beautiful irony of all of this, isn't it?
Oh, my goodness. And Nick touched on it as well. Steve Scalise, that news breaking overnight as he has withdrawn his name. And, of course, as a Republican in the House, we know that he was the one who was shot famously. I think he became a household name at that point when he was shot during a ball game. But he also is suffering and battling blood cancer.
Yeah.
And so concerns about his health as well. Although he has said that he's doing well. All right, let's get to the good story of the day. Phillies!
Yeah.
We beat the Braves. If you're only as good as your last game, or for us, your last show, but if you're only as good as your last game, Nick Castellanos and our Philadelphia Phillies, you're the best in baseball, baby.
Yes.
You're the best.
He's my favorite player on the entire team.
Aw,
With all
really?
due respect to Bryce Harper. Yeah. Hey, Bryce is the star. He's the stud. I get it. But Castellanos is my guy.
Well, if he's your guy, you were probably jumping through the roof
It was.
last night, right?
I was dancing on my own, John.
And then Bryce Harper, he clutched his right elbow, and everybody, saw that moment because obviously he has suffered injuries, but it was only his funny bone, or maybe he was playing a sick trick on us. I don't know, but in any event, clinching another berth in the championship series. So now we go to Monday. Arizona D-backs, 8:07 p.m.
Yes, and by the way, Ranger Suarez yesterday, who pitched for the Phillies, they are now 5-0 the last 2 years in the playoffs when he starts. They are unbeatable with this guy on the mound. Another guy that I absolutely love.
But you love Trey Turner, too. He singled twice.
I do. Well, Trey made me a little money last night with his home run.
Solo homer in the fifth. So just such an exciting time for us. And a 3-1 victory last night. So everybody take a victory lap and thank God for the good news here, beating the Braves once again. So like I say, Monday night, 8:07 p.m. as we move forward in the series. Everybody's fired up. So let's take you to the NBC 10 First Alert forecast. It just feels like Mother Nature held out with the sunshine and the 70-degree weather for our Phils, because now there's a big change. 56 degrees, mostly cloudy for your Friday for this morning right now. And then today, 67 degrees with the sun peeking out. So tomorrow, overnight tonight into tomorrow, the big change happens. Tomorrow, raw, rainy, about a 90% chance of showers. The high, just 55 degrees. And then Sunday, 60 degrees, only a 20-ish% chance that we'll see showers. So the sun may peek out in the afternoon on Sunday. And then as we round out into Monday the 16th, 60 degrees, and the sun does peek out. So cooler weather over the weekend. It's this pattern that's a sin because we have this raw, rainy weather hitting us for the Saturday. This is Kayal & Company News Live.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. 6:14 on this Friday morning as we wrap up another week with another Big Take.
The Big Take on Kayal & Company.
All right, the Big Take this morning, the Second Amendment's value in 2023. Whether you're in the United States of America, which gives you the right to bear arms, thanks to the Second Amendment, or anywhere else around the globe, such as Israel, which doesn't afford citizens a Second Amendment, now more than ever, having the ability to legally arm yourself with a firearm is a critical tool in protecting you and your family. In the U.S., you just never know in 2023 when or not or where you'll need to defend yourself with a gun from an unwanted attack or encounter. Could be at the grocery store, could be in a parking lot as you walk out of a retail establishment after the sun has gone down, getting on or off public transportation, or a plethora of other settings and surroundings. And think about the sheer lunacy of some left-wing gun activists and Democrats in office with their obsession of restricting firearms or what type of firearm you can own, or even temporarily taking away your right to bear arms. A few weeks ago, Joe Biden visited the United Auto Workers Union, and he was asked about guns and the Second Amendment by one union worker. Take a listen and watch this.
I'd like you to explain how you plan to not only keep us working, but how you intend on getting the union vote when there is a large portion of the union workers that are gun enthusiasts, and you are actively trying to diminish your Second Amendment right and take away our gun.
You're foolish.
All right, thank you.
Now, shush. Shush. Guess what? You're not allowed to own any weapon. I'm not taking your gun away at all. You need 100 rounds.
So when you were in Beto, when you said you're going to take our guns,
I did not say that. That's not true. I did not say that.
It's a viral video.
It's a viral video like the other ones they're putting out there. They're simply a lie.
To gun owners out there who say, well, a Biden administration means they're going to come for my guns.
Bingo. You're right if you have an assault weapon. The fact of the matter is they should be illegal, period. Look, the Second Amendment doesn't say you can't restrict the kinds of weapons people can own.
Okay, this is not okay. Hold on. All right.
Hey, let's there's a lot of guys wanting. I'm not worried. Hold on. Give me a break, man. Don't be such a horsey guy. Look, here's the deal. Here's the deal. Are you able to own a machine gun? I said, are you able to own one?
Machine guns are illegal.
That's right. So AR-15's illegal.
How is that in a machine gun?
No, it's not.
Semi-automatic.
Yeah, do you need 100 rounds? Do you need 100 rounds?
In America from handguns, and there are what you call assault rifles.
Today is a day in America where many citizens will be on edge and uneasy following a threat from Hamas that could today be a day in which Americans are targeted following the week that was between Hamas and Israel. We've seen many pro-Palestinian protesters in big blue cities, especially Philadelphia, over the last 5 days, as it sure seems like gun ownership and the right to protect you and your family is uber important in this day and age. Wouldn't you love to be able to have an AR-15 in your home if this threat becomes reality? Or would you rather just be limited to a pistol or a shotgun? It makes me think the Second Amendment and the right to own an AR-15 makes all the sense in the world in the crazy world we now live in. And if you recall, Democratic New Mexico Governor Michelle Grisham tried to impose a 30-day gun ban as she tried to categorize the decision under the umbrella of a public health crisis due to the rise in violent crime in her state. Well, if violent crimes are on the rise, even more reason to have a gun, Michelle. She was slapped down by a judge that barred her from pulling this off. But as of Tuesday, October the 10th, she was still defending her decision and looking like a complete fool. Imagine if a sleeper cell of Hamas terrorists came up through the southern border, were in New Mexico, issued an attack, and you can't access your gun because of a deranged left-wing governor taking your Second Amendment rights away. It's sheer tyrannical madness is what it is. And what would Israel look like today if they were living in a nation that permitted them more access to firearms? Gun ownership isn't banned in Israel. However, there are heavy restrictions placed upon their citizens by the government. Per David Hookstead of Outkick, quote, one of the first things Israel did after the horrifying terror attack was to loosen its gun laws to get as many weapons into civilian hands as possible. It's the same thing Ukraine did as the Russian invasion unfolded. The Ukrainian government handed out rifles to anyone who could get their hands on one. The logic is simple. Armed people are harder to kill than unarmed people. Bullets flying in both directions, giving bad guys something to consider before attacking. Also a good thing. You know, it seems logical to me. I'd say late to the party for sure, but having guns against the unwanted advances of a criminal or a terrorist is a no-brainer. Would we still have loss of life and unthinkable casualties in Israel if they had a Second Amendment? Absolutely. But it's without question and fair to assume that Jewish civilians would have been able to defend themselves reduce the death count, and probably kill a quantifiable amount of Hamas terrorists. Here is attorney Andrew F. Branca, host of the Law of Self-Defense podcast, talking about Israel and having the right to self-defense. Listen and watch.
Those atrocities being committed are all the easier for Hamas because Israeli citizens are largely disarmed as private citizens. They're not readily able to possess firearms for purposes of self-defense. There is no Israeli Second Amendment, tragically. And I guess they're distributing arms now from armories, wherever they keep such things, but they weren't in people's homes, and that's where they needed them. And how different would the last few days have been if the victims of Hamas had been armed? As at least as well as a typical American home, right? Which typically has at least one AR pattern rifle. Certainly has some other firearms, if not an AR, but AR is probably the most common long gun in America today by a wide margin. It doesn't mean there wouldn't have been any killings or rapes. It doesn't mean bad things wouldn't have happened, but there would have been fewer. And the aggressors would have been made to pay an immediate price.
He goes into a deeper dive, which you can watch or listen to on Reddit. And let's be real once again, because it has to be reiterated to all of the crazies on the left out there. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. And sane, logical, functional human beings, American or abroad, don't kill other humans in mass shootings or any other setting unless they are disturbed, angry, and mentally ill. And guess what? No matter how strict gun laws are, if someone who is deranged and angry wants to get a hold of a gun for an atrocity, they probably will. And those innocent citizens in Israel, they would have had a much better chance of survival had they have been afforded what we are afforded, for now, in the United States of America, a Second Amendment right. And that's the big take.
The Big Take on Kayal and Company.
Big take this morning. If you want to jump in, 855-839-1210, the phone number on Twitter and Instagram at 1210WPHT. And, of course, be a part of the Kayal and Company comment community. Just go to youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Hit the like and subscribe buttons and be a part of the show. We'll come back and get some thoughts on this story, especially with the Second Amendment, and also what Hamas is saying today will be a global day of jihad here on Friday the 13th. Kayal and Company, we continue, but I continue to tell you about the Piazza Auto Group. And why do I do that? Because it's the best relationship I've ever had with an auto provider. And as you know, I've recently leased a 2023 Honda Ridgeline truck from Piazza Honda of Springfield, and I absolutely love it. I'm ready for the bad weather. I just want to get that first snowstorm, a little bit of ice the first time, and get out there with my truck and be feeling safe and sound and secure and get to wherever I'm going. If you're a truck person like me, now is the time to visit Piazza Honda in Springfield. You can also check them out at their other locations, Philadelphia, Langhorne, Pottstown, or even Reading, to take advantage of 0.9% APR financing. And if you don't like trucks, that's okay. They've got the Honda Civic, the Accord, the CRV, the Pilot, and many more. Cars, SUVs, vans, trucks, they have it all covered. The Piazza Auto Group, and they also have 17 brands. So if Honda's not your choice, that's fine. There's 16 others and 35 locations, so you're never more than a few miles away from the local dealership. To find your new or certified pre-owned vehicle today, just check them out online, piazzaautogroup.com.
It was the day we all feared. The stock market went down and then kept going.
2008, when the markets lost over 50% of their value. But that was over a decade ago. Today, it's not so painful. Jim Cipriotti at Retire Ready Financial Group calls that financial amnesia. When you forget the pain of losing half your savings, and more importantly, ignore the fact that it can happen again. A complimentary consultation from Retire Ready Financial Group can show you where you stand now before the next market pullback. You're much closer to retirement than you were in 2008. Don't let it happen again. Call Jim Cipriotti at 610-894-7415 for a complimentary consultation. That's 610-894-7415 or online at retirereadyfg.com. You can forget where you put your keys, your glasses, or even your car. Don't forget to protect your retirement. Investment advisory services offered through Retire Ready Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuities offered through James V. Cipriati, NPN number 2083768.
There are so many discounts and offers at Cherry Hill Volvo. This 30-second spot is not enough time to share all the benefits of purchasing or leasing a new Volvo from Cherry Hill Volvo. Discounts and incentives for this month start at $5,000 and can be as high as $11,000. Purchase or lease a new Volvo from Cherry Hill Volvo now and take advantage of these fabulous discounts and offers. Visit us soon for the best selection of Volvos. The entire Cherry Hill Volvo team is waiting to partner with you.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Just a reminder, as I've been doing for years, about batteries plus bulbs in Mount Laurel and Northfield. My buddy Roy, this guy had the vision of old-fashioned customer service married with technology to build custom battery packs, smartphone repairs, game console repairs. Give him a call. Anything in the technology field, you'll get old-fashioned customer service and great technical skill. Call him at 856-638-0778. Batteries plus bulbs, Mount Laurel and Northfield stores.
Hypertrophic cardiomyopathy is a serious heart condition. Some symptoms include being short of breath, feeling tired, or having dizziness or chest pain. My HCM impacted how I felt and what I could do. So I asked my cardiologist about treatment advances that gave me new options. That conversation was big for me. Talk to your cardiologist today. You may be glad you did.
John was compensated for his time. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-990-3434. 800-990-3434. 800-990-3434.
Celebrate Faith and Liberty Day on William Penn's birthday, Saturday, October 14th at the Faith and Liberty Discovery Center, 5th and Market Streets in Old City. Enjoy free admission, free ice cream sundaes, giveaways, and meet and greet William Penn himself, plus a special appearance by 1210's Dom Giordano. Step inside and experience the Faith and Liberty Discovery Center, where the good book meets the history book. For more information, visit faithandliberty.org.
American history in a whole new light.
Don't miss a special edition of the Labor and Energy Show with J. Doc and Krause, sponsored by Advocacy United, this Saturday at noon. Find out about the important issues that'll affect you. The Labor and Energy Show, this Saturday at noon on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hey, Riverton, we know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
This one goes out to the one I love.
627, Kayal and Company, Friday morning, baby. Nick, Dawn, and Greg here on Talk Radio 1210, WPHT. Get us on the free Odyssey app. Watch us live on YouTube. 855-839-1210 is how you climb in on the conversation. So, kind of interesting to think about it right now. And, we've had the Second Amendment for as long as we have all been alive. And, when you think about it, it's a great right. It's a great thing that is afforded to you in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And you've always had that right. And it's something that is reassuring. It's something that, you go out, you fill out the correct documents and get the paperwork and go it the legal way. And, then you feel like you can defend yourself in any odd setting. You can defend your family. Now factor in the last 3.5 years where we live in a lawless society, especially in big blue cities that Democrats run. We've seen crime and shootings and homicides at an all-time high. Now you throw in today what Hamas is calling a global day of jihad on Friday the 13th. And now more than ever, it seems like, boy, that Second Amendment, that's a nice thing to have at your disposal. Especially, I mean, I've seen so many people in the last less than 24 hours tweeting about, if you don't have to go into big cities today, don't do it. If you don't have to, blah, 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 blah. And then I've also seen the other people that have said, okay, Hamas, bring it on. You want to show up in my town, in my city. I've got a gun. I'm packing. Good luck to you. Let's go. Try that in a small town. The whole bit, right? So Hamas is saying today, Friday the 13th, is a day of jihad. Hamas referred to the day as Al-Aqsa Flood Friday, referring to the name of the operation in which it murdered more than 1,200 Israelis, wounded roughly 3,000, and kidnapped over 100. The Middle East Media Research Institute reported Hamas as saying, quote, we declare Friday, the Friday of Al-Aqsa Flood, as a day of general mobilization in our Arab and Islamic world and among the free people of the world. It is a day to rally support, offer aid, and participate actively. It is a day to expose the crimes of the occupation, isolate it, and foil all of its aggressive schemes. It is a day to demonstrate our love for Palestine, Jerusalem, and Al-Aqsa. It is a day to sacrifice. It is a day for sacrifice, heroism, and dedication, and to earn honor of defending.
And you're reading this from where?
This is from the Middle East Media Research Institute.
Gotcha.
And and they also talk about one of the holiest mosques. And they end up and they say, we call upon the free people of the world to mobilize in solidarity with our Palestinian people and in support of their just cause and legitimate rights to freedom, independence, return, and self-determination. Okay, all worded, I guess, quote, politically correct. But, you've seen what you've seen in Philadelphia, New York, and other big cities. I'm not hitting the panic button I don't do the fear stuff. Yeah. But, like, today is a day, if you have one, keep one with you. That's all I would say. But I wouldn't change your plans if I'm an American. If you're going to the movies tonight to see Taylor Swift, go to the movies and see Taylor Swift. Not that I'm doing that, but anyway. I don't know, Dawn. Second Amendment feels like a nice thing to have.
I would, amen. And I've been, every day this week, I've been looking up to see numbers of gun permits. And so it looks like they're going up. I will be curious by Monday morning what the weekly outlook after 1 week of this, to your point.
Yep.
I can tell you that those numbers, from what I'm hearing, I called some gun shops. They're like, yep, we've got people calling up. And I know that some of the counties actually have an instructional to say, we really want you to take some kind of a gun safety class because, just because you have a firearm doesn't necessarily mean that you know how to use it.
That's correct.
And right, and it's so important to think about that. If you're applying for the permit process, take one of the local classes. They're fantastic, and they'll walk you through. And maybe you're a little rusty,
right?
Because some people have, for years I know my mom felt this sense of safety because there was, a gun somewhere in a drawer. But my brother would laugh about it, say, "Mom doesn't know. She
Right.
has no idea what she's gonna." So sometimes it gives you a false sense of safety, and so I think it's important to just go get those classes, or even I know Bucks County for sure. The sheriff's there, and many of them they have online. You can go and look online for it's kind of a refresher, even if you can't go in person.
I mean, and the other thing too is, you take this training course, you get the paperwork, you get it all done. And you go out a few times to a range or whatever, and you practice, and you're working on it or whatever. It still does, it still doesn't, sadly, simulate the actual real thing. God forbid you're ever in a situation, because then all of a sudden maybe you start fumbling it, you're panicking, your heart's racing. Yeah. You just don't know until you're in that moment.
Michael Keene on the YouTube chat has I think the question on all of our minds, guys.
Okay.
Which is worse, Taylor Swift or Hamas?
Oh my God,
Michael Keene, that's a sin.
I'm just reading what Michael has to say.
Come on,
it's not right.
In this with that proposition, I'll take Taylor Swift all day. I'll go to Taylor Swift concerts.
Wait, what time's the concert tonight?
The movie, it's 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
Yeah. Could be a 2-hour nap day, by the way.
Yeah,
just got to rest up for that.
Yeah.
So
I know law enforcement is beefing up patrols everywhere, but certainly when you think about sports events, movie theaters are often considered soft targets. The security will be tight in Philadelphia because the president's going to be here.
Right.
So maybe we should be thankful for that.
We've never been more appreciative of Joe
Right.
Biden being in our city.
Because we'll have all this federal extra law enforcement, extra eyes on all of us.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
I mean, today might be one of the most protected, safe days in Philadelphia, sadly, after what happened to those officers last night at the airport. So I'm assuming police just kind of on maybe a higher alert, so to speak. And then, of course, the president being here. If you've ever felt like that Philadelphia is going to be protected like Fort Knox, today's the day, folks. So live your life and don't let these cowards intimidate you. And speaking of these cowards, we were talking yesterday about the death and the tragedy and some of the graphic images. And, some people were wondering about, well, if they had killed dogs and they had killed babies and beheaded 40 babies, that's obviously gross and disgusting and disturbing, but I need to see visual proof. Well, there was visual proof released yesterday on the Israeli Prime Minister official Twitter feed, like their government feed, not Netanyahu's personal feed, but like the government's account. And there were a couple of pictures. The baby's face was kind of blurred out to protect the baby or whatever in the family. But there is visual confirmation that has been released on social media through a government site of the babies. Also, barbaric, brutal videos of these Hamas barbarians butchering family dogs, which is like, so you don't want to call these people terrorists, New York Times. You don't want to use the word terrorism, MSNBC. I'm not sure what other sort of confirmation you need to realize that these people are just the sickest, most disturbing savages. It's bad enough to kill somebody, right? It's bad enough to commit first-degree murder for any reason.
Yeah.
But these people, they take it to a whole nother level. I mean, they try to simulate like this is like, Hollywood in a movie and a gory slasher film. And these people are very, very disturbing. And then, of course, there's more videos and pictures out there. I saw one last night. I was watching a little bit during one of the commercials for like 3 minutes. I just consumed a little bit of Fox News when the Phillies were up. I think it was the first run they scored. And I saw the video released that Hamas is putting out with captured Israeli civilians, and they're kind of hands behind their back. They're laying on like a concrete floor, and there's like a few flashlights or some lighting in there to show you like how like horrific it is and how panicked they are. And that to me is nothing more than a scare tactic of Hamas.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this many times throughout the show today. Israel is going to be let loose, and they need to be let loose to do everything to that group.
It's full.
That they
It's full
need
go,
to do.
right?
That being said, this is not our fight.
Yeah.
This is not our. Yes,
That's a good point.
I get
Well,
it.
it is now. And we have Americans there held hostage, Greg.
I know we do, and somebody brought that up to Kirby yesterday. I said, well, I think it was James Rosen who brought it up to Kirby yesterday that, hey, there are Americans killed, and we have American hostages and stuff like that. Send in SEAL Team 6 or whatever to get the hostages out of there, but this is not, we cannot do this. We cannot do this. We just can't.
I would love to know, and it really, I guess this is kind of based on what you're saying about this is not our fight. I would love to know if we could just look up, if anybody can, DuckDuckGo it or whatever, what is the Jewish population in the United States of America? And I'm just curious, like, if we can find, like, what percentage, of people, obviously we're all of some descent, but I would love to know, like, what the count is, like how many people that were born in Israel now live in the United States versus those who are Italian or German or whatever it might be. Because I know, Greg, you're saying it's not our fight, but for over 50 years, we have had a vested interest in Israel, and it's blatantly obvious. There's a huge Jewish community in the United States of America.
7.6 million.
7.6 million.
That's what I have too.
Okay. I mean, it's one of these things where, you've got Russia-Ukraine going on. You've got Israel and Hamas. China, that powder keg can go off at any moment with Taiwan. It's like, how do you pick and choose? Like, I would never want to be this guy. Like, I'm certainly not Lindsey Graham. I'm not ready to bomb the whole world. But I also don't know that you can just sit back. But I also don't think that you can just keep funding Ukraine.
We can't get into this.
So what's the correct answer? What is the blueprint here?
We aid and help Israel as much as we possibly can and let them fight.
Okay, so so it's the Ukraine blueprint. We just keep giving them money. Because this is not like I would say
that's not going to happen.
Right.
We might all agree that we should never be the world's police.
Yeah.
but we know logically right now.
Yeah.
Come on,
But with
we
all the-
know
with all-
we're involved. We have special forces there. We have Marines there.
Yep.
We've got our most expensive, shiny, brand new USS Ford, the big carrier that's nobody's seen. Tech, which I wish they wouldn't say that because, like, that's what they said about Titanic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just wish they wouldn't use some of the wording. Just say we're sending the USS Ford. That's it. But we're there, Greg, and I agree with you that I wish that were the case. But we always have to get involved. But in this one, we do have Americans dead, and we have American hostages. So we're in.
Well, you talk about providing all the financial support possible, but think about this. Money eventually runs out. Like the money for Russia, Ukraine is going to run out. And Russia, Ukraine has an end date, right? Like that can eventually come to an end. This is a different level of fighting. This is not just over like territory. This is religious. This is a holy war. So if you say we're going to fund it till we can eradicate it, I would say there is no expiration on this battle because this one will go on for the rest of history for as long as there are human beings on the planet. Russia, Ukraine, China, Taiwan, like that those are different battles. This is like, and we've kind of put it in, I think, in the right perspective as we've tried to, understand the level of which these people think from both sides, but specifically Hamas and any radicalized Islamic terrorist. Like this is the war to end all wars for them. This is like their, religious way of life, and they're hell-bent on mandating it to everybody. Right? Like they want to wipe out Christianity. They want Islam to be the only faith of record.
So this is it. I agree with you. I've been saying that all week. I agree with both of you. But what we're basically saying is that to hell with everything else, World War III, let's go, let's do this, let's finish this. Right? That's basically what we're saying. This is, well, we're in this. Okay. Why didn't we go over and help Ukraine then? There's humanitarian crises going on over there.
Yep.
Like I get it.
What, maybe a few isolated drone attacks on Hamas hotspots? I mean, I don't know what the solution is.
Oh, well, I know what the solution is: high-quality leadership, which we do not have right now.
Yes, that's the underlying theme to all of this, sadly, yes. Because everything that we were told that could happen from 2016 to 2020 has been happening since January of 2021.
Robert Schwartz in the YouTube chat says, tell the families of the dead or the hostages it isn't our fight. Yes, it is. Stop with the cowardly pacifist BS. Grow a damn spine, Greg. Okay, cool.
All right.
You want to send your
At
kids
least
over
he
there
said
to fight?
grow a spine and not something else.
I think QC Kinetics can help with that.
You want to send your kids over there to fight? Be my guest.
Yeah.
Be my guest.
Well, if it was Lindsey Graham's call, it would be a full, he'd be banging the drums, sounding the sirens. There'd be tanks, trucks, everything known to man that we have in our artillery, whatever we have left.
As far as the population, if you're thinking about, if anybody's thinking, oh, well, who has the biggest Jewish populations by state in America? And as far as where the targets may be, it's the.
Can I guess real quick?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to guess you have cities or just states?
I have states.
Okay, I'll say the state of New York for New York City.
By far, 1.8 million.
And then the state of California for L.A. and Hollywood.
Yep.
Yeah.
You got it. New York, 1.8 million. California, 1.2 million. Then Florida, then New Jersey, then Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So then Illinois, Massachusetts, Maryland, and Texas, and Ohio. But the top four, New York, California, Florida, or top five, I should say, New York, California, Florida, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. And I only say that because obviously it's our area on the East Coast that predominantly has the biggest population. And then is that something because we have the big cities, it's the East Coast, does that become a potential target? I think the feds clearly at the federal level and the regional level, that's why we have so much law enforcement focused here.
Yep.
As far as looking at those so-called cells that they're always monitoring.
Yep. 855-839-1210 if you want to jump in on the conversation. And then from the standpoint of other nations, who knew what and who's communicating with who, this one from MarketWatch.com. House Republican says of the Hamas attack, we know that Egypt had warned the Israelis 3 days prior. Quote, we're not quite sure how we missed it, and we're not quite sure how Israel missed it.
There's definitely an intelligence failure.
That's what I've been saying since Monday
here. But I mean, they were able to penetrate through the Iron Dome, right? I mean, like so there was definitely an intelligence failure here. But right now is not the time for the Israelis to focus on that. Now is the time to do what they have to do to make sure that
and this is why
Hamas
I say
is gone.
Correct. And this is why the Second Amendment is so important here in this country and why they should have something the equivalent of in Israel or any other country, because you can only prepare so much. You can only have so much police. You can only have so much government. You can only have so many walls or domes or whatever it is. You can only have so many locks on your doors. At the end of the day, if there's a will, there's a way. And if there's people out there that want to inflict harm and cause terror and kill people, they're going to do it, so you might as well be armed to the teeth.
They're definitely prepping us for a battle. I mean, the media, because you see, there's so many more images that are happening in the last week from what happened in Israel compared to what happened in Ukraine, Russia, all this. This is on a nonstop loop on cable news.
And oh, by the way, election year coming up.
Exactly what happened in the lead up into Iraq and Afghanistan.
And then also, and you take this, I don't want to say with a grain of salt, but it kind of makes me raise my eyebrows. The Saudi prince and the president of Iran hold a call on the Israel-Hamas war. And apparently these two individuals having conversations on, we need to end the war crimes against Palestine and communicating with all international and regional parties to stop the ongoing escalation. You think about the funding element. You think about the training of terrorists, whether it's Iran, Saudi Arabia, or any other nation in and around this conflict. I see stories like this, and I feel like these are nothing more than window dressing put out there to make it seem like all of these other nations were not complicit in it, didn't have anything to do with it, were unaware of anything that was being planned or plotted, and they give off this illusion of, basically condemning these actions. And if you believe that, then you're just a complete sucker. So that's kind of where we are at with Israel and Hamas and everything that's been going on for 7 days. And of course, what they are saying today on Friday the 13th, it could happen in this country. 855-839-1210 is the number. That's how you climb in. And speaking of climbing in, one man's dropping out. His name is Steve Scalise. Been a rough stretch for this man, but it seems like it's now Jim Jordan's time. Will it become official today? We'll get into that next here on Kayal and Company on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hey, Joe DeCamera here. Isn't it time to invest in yourself? Start at PI Dental Center. With the latest in digital technology to state-of-the-art treatment, PI Dental Center is a full-service practice. 2 board-certified specialists, Dr. Glenn Wolfinger and Dr. Robert Slough, are originators of the Teeth in a Day protocol, a revolutionary treatment that delivers fixed teeth on the same day as the implants are placed. Hey, I've been a patient of PI Dental for over 20 years, and now is the time for you to invest in yourself. Visit PIDentalCenter.com to request your new patient evaluation.
Miller Lite has high hopes for the Phillies this season, so catch every game at Autobahn Ale House in Autobahn with a $3 Miller Lite draft special. The Ale House features an extensive pub menu featuring the best wings in the area, from mild to feasting to sweet desert heat. The Ale House also features 12 rotating craft beer taps and a beer-to-go store. So enjoy every Phil's game at Autobahn Ale House. Autobahn Ale House, proud partner of WIP's High Hopes Pod with James Seltzer and Jack Fritz. It's Miller time, Phillies fans. Celebrate responsibly.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. When it comes to all your home improvement needs, trust is everything. And that's why for years, I've been talking about the amazing work my friends Stephanie and Matt and the entire team at Emmons has done for me and my home. My roof, doors, windows, siding, and yes, remodeling projects. Emmons can bring that same quality of work to all of your kitchen and bathroom remodeling needs. Roofing, siding, windows, doors, and now baths and kitchens. Emmons is the Delaware Valley's one-stop shop for all of your home improvement needs. Call 856-556-3229 and get a free estimate, or go online to emmonsroofing.com, or even better, come visit the Emmons Design Showroom in Cherry Hill. emmonsroofing.com. It's about trust, it's about quality, it's about great work, and that's why me and my family have used them for basically every project we've done to improve our home. emmonsroofing.com.
Hey, Joe DeCamera here. Confidence is super high this fall in Philadelphia sports, and I'm going to tell you why you should be super confident getting your car serviced at United Tire. Quality, the best in the business. Expertise, technicians who excel at their craft. Owners on site with 20 years experience and tremendous customer service. Now is the time for you to make the right choice about who services your car. United Tire and Service. For locations and information, go to UnitedTire.com. That's UnitedTire.com. Don't drive alone. Drive United.
See Joe Conklin with the City Rhythm Orchestra at the Miller Center in Reading on Wednesday, October 18th, and at Springfield High School in Delaware County, Saturday, November 11th.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
I loved it.
All his voices are fabulous, and the fact that he sings.
I couldn't imagine how good it would be with the orchestra. Awesome show.
I've never laughed so much. My cheeks hurt. I'm like, yeah.
That's Conklin and City Rhythm at the Miller Center in Reading and at Springfield High School in Delco. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com. JoeConklin.com!
I am picturing the most amazing sights. Beam me up. Southern Italy. We're heading to Southern Italy. What are you doing? What are you waiting for? I'm talking about the Amalfi Coast. Come and join me for 12 magical days in luxury with the very best professional, once again, from Conservative Tours. Yes, Southern Italy, the most, I'm truly a luxury gastronomical tour of the most beautiful coastline in the entire world. A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, and that's just the beginning for Conservative Tours because nobody does it best. They are rated top-notch, the best tour operator in all of Italy. We're even going to take the high-speed jet foil to the Isle of Capri. Just picture yourself just zooming over those aqua blue waters and seeing the stunning Isle of Capri. I can't wait. I can't wait. $52.67. This includes your airfare, includes luxury hotels, dining events galore. You're going to remember this years from now. And so am I. My husband Larry going, my sons are going. It's the trip of a lifetime for us, and I want you to join me. Just go to conservativetours.com. You'll see my picture on there, and they've written up a wonderful itinerary to give you a sense of everything. Toll free, you can call 888-733-9494. And I'm talking about visiting Italy's best-kept secrets, the Abbey of Monte Cassino, Puglia, Medieval Caserta, Sorrento, Pompeii, and of course, we're going to visit all the great ancient sites, including Rome, before heading home. So join me next spring in Italy, Southern Italy. See you on the Isle of Capri. Call now, 888-733-9494, conservativetours.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Be sure to follow Talk Radio 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
All right, Kayal and Company, 6:51 Friday morning. Hopefully all of you off to a good start as we work our way into another weekend. What's on the cut sheet in less than an hour? 855-839-1210, Nick, Dawn, and Greg. Also, coming up in hour number 2, the Governor's back, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's got some choice words for Democrats ruining big blue cities, and also the Utes of today. He says they are weak and they are wimps. Hell yeah, Arnold. I agree with that. And we'll get into that as we continue. Very interesting developments yesterday here within our nation as about 3 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, after a few hours of the closed-door meeting for the GOP, Dan Bishop emerged and said that Jim Jordan is the only candidate who can get the required 217 votes in the race for the House Speaker. And this is as Steve Scalise quickly, within 24 hours, read the writing on the wall. He did not have the support of the room, despite the initial vote of 113 in his favor to Jim Jordan with 99 votes. And as you know, Jim Jordan, very conservative, Republican. He's endorsed and backed and supported by Donald Trump. Steve Scalise, more on the, he's kind of like Kevin McCarthy 2.0, so to speak. And here is Steve Scalise yesterday issuing this statement. Take a listen to this.
I know we've been following this. It's been quite a journey, and there's still a long way to go. I just share with my colleagues that I'm withdrawing my name as a candidate for the Speaker designee. If you look at over the last few weeks, if you look at where our conference is, there's still work to be done. Our conference still has to come together and is not there. There are still some people that have their own agendas, and I was very clear. We have to have everybody put their agendas on the side and focus on what this country needs. This country is counting on us to come back together. This House of Representatives needs a speaker, and we need to open up the House again. But clearly, not everybody is there. And there's still schisms that have to get resolved.
And after that announcement, Representative Dan Muser from Pennsylvania said that multiple lawmakers are encouraging Jim Jordan to run for Speaker again, going on to say, quote, there are a number of people encouraging him. I'm one of them. Jim Jordan was number one atop my list when we got into this McCarthy conversation 10 days ago or so. I had Jim Jordan number one and Byron Donalds number two. It looks like, and we did the big take yesterday on the Speaker, it looks like it probably, I think, will be Jim Jordan, but also he also has that those allegations that are still out there about when he was at Ohio State as a wrestling coach in the 80s and 90s. And I think you can take it to the bank, Dawn, that if Jim Jordan becomes the Speaker, the mainstream media, the MSNBCs of the world, will throw gas on that fire and that story as well. But I think if you're
that's
looking,
been fully investigated, though.
I know, why is it still out there, though?
Because they want to put it out there, and they constantly, want to push that up and make allegations. But he was somebody who was he was a young coach there, very young coach there. And the allegation is, well, he must have known or he should have known.
Mm-hmm.
Really? Well, let's go back and look at every one of these horrifying times and say, oh, really? Everybody should have. Tragically, you don't always know.
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
But that was the only allegation is, well, he was there. He must have known.
Mm-hmm. Well, they'll continue to always. I just love how NBC News, by the way, has had a real rough stretch between this story with the Speaker and then the way they've been covering the Hamas stuff. I mean, they're getting destroyed. We'll give you some ratings coming up in hour two. Fox and CNN actually doing really well with his Israel-Hamas coverage. MSNBC, not so much. We'll give you the details in a little bit. 855-839-1210. Let me grab a call here. We've got Hilda in the Northeast, and she is with us this morning. Hilda, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind yet this morning. I'll let you know.
Yeah, there's still a lot of day left. I'll get back to you around 3 o'clock, Nick.
Yeah, well, with everything going on, yeah, that's pretty much how it goes right now for the days.
Right.
Okay, my thing was that something that a lot of people don't know, and I love Greg dearly, we're already on the ground there because a lot of people have sons here in the United States that serve in the IDF. Some of those faces that you see in those IDF uniforms are Americans. This has been something that's been ongoing for years. And people don't realize how many Americans serve in the IDF.
Yeah, it's a good point. There was some interviews, I think it was on Fox News, that they had a few guys, I think Jesse Waters a couple of nights ago, and thank you for the call, Hilda, had one IDF serviceman or soldier, whatever you want to call it. He was doing the interview with Jesse Waters live while he was in combat.
Yeah.
I love Jesse Waters, but if I'm in active duty, I'm sorry, Jesse, I'll get back to you when I'm done with my shift, so to speak. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
We're making a mistake if we're marching towards war, because basically what we're saying is we're going to go to war with Iran. So we're going to start World War III.
Because that's the bigger escalation, right?
So okay, everybody's yes, we're already on the ground. Yes, sons and daughters. Yes, blah 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 blah. Fine. Okay.
Because the reality is, if the United States wanted to go over there and wipe out Hamas and kind of join with Israel in this joint endeavor, I mean, it's not going to take long to obliterate Hamas.
I think it's tricky. It's and because they've built so many miles of tunnels underneath that entire Gaza area.
Yeah, it's elaborate.
And so if you can go back to looking at tunnels in Vietnam, I mean, so it may look like it's easy, but the fact that they're not allowing the evacuation of the civilian population of the Palestinians show you their game plan. They're using their own people
as shields,
as human shields.
Correct.
And that's
this is
what
2003 all over again.
I know, this is a mess.
No, this is 2003 all over again because they're tugging on mommy's heartstrings back there, and now all of a sudden
nobody's tugging at my heartstrings.
No,
I was the first to say.
I'm telling you, that
I was the first to say that bombing Iran. On what was that Monday? I agreed with you and disagree with Lindsey Graham saying, "Oh, bomb Iran." I don't think that's the option.
Yeah, Lindsey just wants to nuke everything. He don't care. I mean, these are the people that I'm so sick of. The Lindsey Grahams, to a lesser extent, and this is not really like, I'm not saying she's the equivalent of Lindsey Graham because she's doing really well in the polling, but like Nikki Haley, I think is very pro-war, and a handful of others that are just always like, because they look at it from the business side of things, and the war is profitable, and it's amazing how actually there's so many Republicans nowadays that are very much anti-war. So
yeah,
this is wild.
What you just said, look at the money. That's really what this is all about.
Of course.
This is Iran trying to cut off alliances between Israel, right, and Saudi Arabia, and so on and so forth. And so the idea here is we should be putting pressure in this country and in the world, looking for unity, and putting the pressure on our allies there in the Middle East, and to form a coalition and say this is going to stop, and it will.
Yep. 855-839-1210 is the phone number. We'll come back, put a little bit of a bow on some of the Hamas-Israel coverage. A professor is on the verge of being fired in the Ivy League. Also, the ratings for Fox and CNN compared to MSNBC since this war began last Saturday. And celebrities in Hollywood. We have the list of some very popular celebrities that continue to be anti-Israel and pro-Palestinian cause. We'll get to that as we continue. Hour 2 of Kayal and Company, and we're back after this.
With all the Phillies fever that is happening right now, let's not forget about the Eagles. The 5-0 Eagles going into MetLife Stadium this Sunday. Eagles are favored. Eagles -7 for a Sunday's game. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel in partnership with Valley Forge Casino. It's America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. I love the FanDuel app. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-under, so much more. Visit FanDuel.com/Greg and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL and is the official partner of 1210. WPHT, 21 and over, President PA. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is not withdrawable. Bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Larry Steinitz of Investor Schooling. I am so proud to announce the continuing success of our students at Investor Schooling. You already know that at Investor Schooling, we teach real estate investing and stock options. Did you also know that we teach things about tax savings, estate planning, and business coaching as well? We teach things about money I bet you never knew. At Investor Schooling, we teach from the perspective of true experience. If you want to see what our students think about Investor Schooling, please check out the over 160 5-star Google reviews. To find out more about how you can change your financial life, go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829. That's 866-424-2829, and you can attend a complimentary class this Thursday at 7 p.m. Attend that class and see for yourself what Investor Schooling is all about. Go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829. That's 866-424-2829. We can't wait to see you this Thursday.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
You're invited to witness a groundbreaking documentary, America's Retirement Dilemma, a documentary of Wall Street's rigged system, featuring powerful exclusive interviews such as the top regulator over Wall Street, the Inspector General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, H. David Kotz, who indicates how Wall Street is rigged.
In the federal government, management is often a big challenge. Get the manager to do the right thing. It's a great concern.
The Chief Accountability Officer over the federal government, the United States Comptroller General, David Walker, further explaining the dilemma facing all Americans.
If we have another recession, the federal government doesn't have any more tools in its toolbox.
Hear these experts and more exclusive interviews with powerful industry leaders, esteemed economists, and top researchers at the Springfield Country Club, October 24th. Registration is required. 1-800-722-9728 or crashproofretirement.com.
Hi, this is Dr. Brad Schaefer. As a podiatrist, I can tell you no two people's feet are alike, which is why I recommend Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotic inserts. They're customized for your feet, so you get a unique solution your feet really need, not just a one-size-fits-all insole. They're clinically proven to provide pain relief for achy feet, knees, lower back, plantar fasciitis, and heels. Take the Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotics assessment in Walmart today, now in the foot care aisle.
Don Stensland this morning at 10. Kayal and Company now on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT and the free Odyssey app.
Don't we all? It's Kayal and Company, 7:05. Hour number 2 underway on this Friday. It's Nick, Dawn, and Greg. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Cut sheet is 7:45. We will also rip the Braves and their announcers for what they tried to say Bryce Harper should have been more cognizant and aware of in celebration. And it has something to do with what's going on globally. Once again, we can't separate sports and entertainment from real life because people are offended by everything. That's coming up in just a little bit, as well as some more details on everything that you are consuming when it comes to this battle between Israel and Hamas. We've got a handful of Hollywood celebrities that have spoken out. Also, an Ivy League professor could very well be fired in a matter of days. So we'll get to that. Dawn's news coming up here in just one moment. But let me wrap up with the calls here. Jim is in Wilmington, and he has some thoughts. Jim, you're on 1210. Go right ahead.
Good morning, Nick. How are you today?
We're doing well, Jim. How are you?
Very well. Around like in the 5 o'clock hour, Fox reported that the Hamas, only their highest leadership knew about the attack and that it was planned 2 years ago.
Yes, I read
and
that.
Isn't it ironic what happened 2 years ago, just a little over 2 years ago?
What do you
Afghanistan?
Oh, with the withdrawal. Yes. Yes, absolutely. The botched withdrawal by Joe Biden and his administration.
Yeah, and yeah, so from day one, soon as they botched up that evacuation,
yep,
they, the other countries, our enemies, are planning against us.
And Jim, it's more than that. Honestly, it's the terrible withdrawal, leaving Americans and equipment and everything behind in Afghanistan. It's the kind of passive-aggressive way of which we have responded to Russia, Ukraine, right? Just the endless money. We have seen what China has done, from flying spy balloons across our country for surveillance, setting up Chinese-owned police stations in our cities, the way they kind of poke the bear. I mean, Joe Biden has exuded weakness, and it's noticeable to anybody with sinister, evil intentions across the globe, from the Middle East to Russia, Ukraine, to the Far East, and everywhere in between. Open borders, we are collectively a weak laughingstock at this point, which is the complete opposite of what this nation was just 3.5, 4 years ago under Donald Trump's watch. 855-839-1210 if you want to jump in. All right, let's get some news. 7:08 Friday morning, round number 2. And for that, we go to the great Dawn Stensland.
Yeah, and I've been updating some live news conferences in reporting the tragedy that's striking Philadelphia this morning, and that is the 2 Philadelphia police officers shot in the line of duty, and that call, officer down, officer down. And so the search continues this morning for those suspects. So let's get to it as we update you on what's happening. But we've had multiple news conferences giving some new information this morning. We know that one veteran Philadelphia police officer is dead this morning, another injured after that shooting happened in a parking garage, Philadelphia International Airport, late last night as the officers were coming into parking garage D there at the airport. The officers saw these suspects trying to break into nearby vehicles. The officers, of course, go to intervene. These are fully uniformed officers, by the way, fully uniformed, and that's when the suspects opened fire on them. So we know that one officer who's a veteran, 50 years old, 20 years on the force, rushed to the hospital, did not survive that shooting, was pronounced dead, and he leaves behind his wife, and he's a father, and so a lot of grief striking our Philadelphia police and as well law enforcement across the country, as we know, back the blue, and this strikes everybody. The surviving officer, 60 years old, has 22 some years experience on the force, and so at least one suspect is believed to be in another hospital, had been taken to Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. They're searching for those other suspects, at least 2 to 3 other armed and dangerous suspects, and that's the latest this morning. We also have, of course, a beefed-up police presence in Philadelphia, especially today, Friday, and that's because a former Hamas militant leader calling for protests, labeling today, Friday the 13th, as a day of jihad. And so we also had rallies in support of Israel as well as in support of Hamas. Another rally was just yesterday taking place here in Philadelphia. This is happening across the country, particularly on the East Coast. Local authorities say they are upping patrols as a safety precaution as a result of all of that, and because we in the Philadelphia region and on the East Coast as well have a bigger Jewish population, also looking to guard schools, places of worship, things of that nature. Now, Philadelphia police point out that although they are increasing their patrols out of an abundance of caution because of what's happening in Israel and Gaza and this day of jihad declared, Philadelphia police pointing out there are no current threats to the Philadelphia region. So they just want to have that presence and asking everyone in the community, please be proactive. We're also talking about the death toll of American citizens in Israel, 27. And that includes a local 20-year-old New Jersey native and DJ Leor Abramov, who was from Mercer County, New Jersey. We've talked about him. He was over there for the celebrations. He's a DJ, and he has tragically been confirmed through official sources as well as his family.
Yeah, that's
who
terrible.
is grieving him. It's the better news of the day, obviously, as we move through the day. Our Philadelphia Phillies. We got her done yesterday in South Philadelphia, and it's exciting as we move on to play Arizona Monday night, 8:07 in the NLCS. But we won last night 3-1. History was made, and it's Nick Castellanos became the first player to hit multiple homers in consecutive postseason games in between yesterday and today. So it's just so exciting.
He might be the coolest athlete in Philadelphia right now as well. He's got the tattoo sleeves, got the bandana on. He's a character. Not only a good player, but a funny dude.
It's so exciting.
And by the way, Stalker, Arizona, Philly, Monday night, the series line, if you want to bet the Phillies to win the series, the Phillies are a minus 166 favorites. You got to bet $166 to win 100.
Wow.
I'm going Phillies in 5.
Phillies in 5?
Yeah, Phillies in 5.
Wow.
I checked. It's a 7-game series. So Phillies in 5.
Yeah.
Arizona will get 1 game.
Gotcha.
We have, and of course, today is the official day of the Taylor Swift Eras Tour movie, opening across thousands of AMC theaters across America.
Flask is filled.
What was your nickname for her? Sailor Twift?
Sailor Twift.
Yeah.
In honor of your edict and not hearing that name on this show for a week, I decided to give her the alias of Sailor Twift.
Yep.
Well, today, 67 degrees, bright sunny skies. That all changes tomorrow. The high just 55 degrees, a blustery, windy, kind of a raw, nasty Saturday.
Have we had a nice weekend?
I know,
No,
right?
No. I'm going to spend if it's going to be like this for the rest of the fall on Saturdays, I'm going to fly down to Bruno's after the show every Friday.
I don't blame you.
I'll be back on Sunday.
Yeah, it's horrendous here every weekend.
I hate it.
Yeah, great football weather for tomorrow, people. We'll still be tailgating. All right, I'm talking high school.
Yeah, where are the
football.
boys at? Where's Germantown at tomorrow?
Yeah, so no, I think it's a home game.
A home game?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
who do you play?
I think Haverford. It's Interact League. Haverford.
And are they any good?
Yeah.
Okay. I got Germantown Academy. I'll set the line at 4.5. Small favorite. Minus 4.5. You get all the high school kids. You guys can bet. You guys can bet vaping pens and iPhone 15s.
Oh, it's so funny. So Sunday looks a little bit better, 60 degrees, and the sun does come out. So we got that going for us, which is nice. Kayal and Company News Live.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. 855-839-1210 is the number. We'll just wrap up here in the next couple of minutes. I'll save some of the other Israel-Hamas stuff. We've got ratings from the networks. We've got celebrities that are talking, and also a Ivy League professor that is, I can't believe this stupid to actually include some of this in her social media profile. But I did mention the Phillies and the Braves, and there is a tie-in here to what's going on with Israel and Hamas. Now, I did not see this, nor did I hear this, because I believe this was from Joe Simpson, who is one of the Braves' local announcers. I'm not sure if he does radio like Scott Fransky or if he's like the Tom McCarthy on the TV side for the Braves. But the Braves announcers were not happy and not fans of Bryce Harper's throat slash celebrations following his 2 home runs in Game 3. So not last night, but the prior game. And this story is from Outkick.com. Bryce Harper staring down Braves shortstop Orlando Arcia after each of his 2 home runs during Game 3 of the NLDS is garnering all the attention. But that wasn't the only thing that the Philadelphia superstar did while rounding the bases on Wednesday night. Harper made a throat-slashing gesture before stomping on home plate after both of his dingers, and Atlanta's announcers took exception to this. Given the fact that Hamas terrorists are murdering,
for God's
I know. This is madness. But given the fact that Hamas terrorists are murdering and beheading Jews in Israel at the moment, the Braves announcers didn't believe Harper's celebrations were in good taste, to put it mildly. Quote, again, he gave the throat-slashing sign, which, given today's climate around the world, I'm not sure that's quite what anybody wants to see, said Joe Simpson.
I've decided I do want to go to war, but it's with Atlanta.
Well, we already ended them. Honestly, I'm surprised that more left-wing nutjobs weren't freaking out on Game 3 when the Phillies fans were doing the tomahawk chop to mock the Braves. That's offensive to Native Americans.
Oh, God. What a...
I mean, this is once again where sports, comedy, stand-up, entertainment, guys, gals, it's not real life.
The announcers were just butthurt because we had their number.
But like the throat slash has been a symbolic sports gesture for many years.
Yeah.
Many years.
Right. And I thought the beheading thing was fake news anyway.
True.
Yeah. It's
I
all,
say
it's all
sarcastically.
fake news.
Right. So
like,
make up your minds.
We've seen this in football, years ago. I forget. I think it was Michael Strahan, Zach Donovan McNabb did the throat slash. And then, I've even seen people that get offended especially during the summer of 2020 with the BLM movement and the riots that we had. That fall, when college football was played in mostly empty stadiums, there were people in left-wing media losing their mind over Florida Gator fans doing the Gator chomp. Because I think I told you about
history,
this before.
Yeah,
the history with little black babies being handed the Gators back, hundreds of years ago.
Ridiculous.
It's like we got to stop losing our mind over stuff that we know is fiction.
You know what the problem is with a lot of these announcers, and this only really happens in baseball because there's so much downtime in it.
Yeah.
They just need to fill time.
They do,
and they just say stupid stuff
right,
because they just need to fill time.
Yep.
So whatever comes out of this idiot's pea brain,
yep,
he says, much like here on Kayal and Company.
That's correct.
But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, this was Joe Simpson, who's, I believe, the play-by-play announcer for the Braves.
Is he related to OJ?
Well, there's a slash.
I was just
throat slash, a Simpson. I see the double
By
tie in there.
the way, can I just say I'm wearing my Kayal and Company a hooded sweatshirt.
You are
today. You can get it. Look, it's a nice fit. This is a large.
Mm-hmm.
In case anybody out there wants a large, it's a large. It's a nice fit. Kayal and Company Free Speech lives here. It's a light gray. I believe you're right, Nick. I believe it's heather gray.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes. Dated her in 9th grade.
But
by the way.
it's a nice sweatshirt. You can get all the merch for everything at 1210wpht.com. The merch store is right there on the right-hand side. Just click it. All the stuff is right there. Please help us support, promote all the shows on this radio station because you are our promotional staff.
That's correct.
And we need you to, help us and wear these out places. Phillies games. there's a big Phillies game on Monday.
Yep.
We'd love to see some swag.
Out
there. If
show
you
up
have
at the next Hamas protest.
Show your sweatshirt, shirt, whatever, at the Phillies game and help us promote this radio station and our shows.
There you go. 855-839-1210. If you want to jump in, we'll give you some more details with Israel and Hamas as far as the network's coverage of it. Also, what idiots in Hollywood are saying. And then before we get to the cut sheet, we got to get to Arnold Schwarzenegger. The governor is back, and he's running amok on all these big blue mayors and governors across the country. We'll get to that cut sheet at 7:45, and we're back after this on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency on earth, and if you owe back taxes, the news isn't good. The IRS is raising the interest rate it charges on unpaid taxes, and further rate hikes are expected. Most people don't know it, but the IRS adds interest charges to your tax debts daily. So if you owe the IRS today, you'll owe even more tomorrow. And it doesn't stop until you get right with the IRS. The good news is getting right can start with one phone call to Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm. Optima's tax professionals specialize in the Fresh Start Initiative, a powerful IRS program that can save you thousands if you qualify. In fact, the experts at Optima have resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients. Call now for a free consultation.
Call 800-357-6499. 800-357-6499. 800-357-6499.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Is the IRS after you? Do you owe them so much money you will never be able to pay them? Are they levying your bank accounts, garnishing your paycheck? Are you making monthly payments you cannot afford? If so, you need to call the Tax Problem Solver at 609-970-4634. I'm Charles Montesino, and I solve IRS problems. Do you have unpaid income or payroll taxes? Do you have unfiled returns? The IRS is starting to audit the employee retention credits. It doesn't matter. I can help. All I do is help people with IRS problems. I'm a certified public accountant and certified tax resolution specialist. That makes me one of the few people in the entire country that can help you. Again, my name is Charles Montesino, and I solve IRS problems. Call me at 609-970-4634 or go to taxproblemsolved.com. That's 609-970-4634. Call now and get started on the road to relief. Again, the number is 609-970-4634.
I'm Tony Kornheiser, and this is my show. What, you expecting something different? Whether you're looking for deep, insightful dives into the day's top sports stories, that's why we have guests, right, Nigel? Or simply how to get change for 100, you'll find it on the Tony Kornheiser Show. From football picks from the best prognosticators in the business, including a monkey, to real-time baseball playoff analysis, to traffic in an area where you don't live. We got you covered. My friends come on, and you know them. Listen on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-990-3434. 800-990-3434. 800-990-3434.
When you need to know, depend on KYW News Radio 1039 FM.
Israel's military ordered for the evacuation of over 1 million people in northern Gaza within 24 hours. The UN calls the order impossible. The escalating war is sparking concerns in the U.S., with law enforcement on high alert today after Hamas's call for a global day of rage. Congressman Steve Scalise has suddenly dropped out of the House Speaker race.
Get the latest anytime on KYW News Radio. Now on Crystal Clear 103.9 FM.
You've never needed us more.
You get up every morning and make it all work. You make the hospitals and the labs work. You keep the shelves stocked, the cash registers ringing, the production lines producing. At Vestas, we have the uniforms and workplace supplies you need to do what you do every day. When you think uniforms, floor mats, first aid kits, restroom supplies, think Vestas. Vestas, uniforms and workplace supplies for the people who make it all work. Learn more at Vestas.com.
Calling on Media PA to follow 1210 WPHT on the free Odyssey app. Download it now.
$7:24. It's Kayal and Company here on a Friday morning. Nick, Dawn, and Greg. Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Cut sheet coming up at 7:45, so we're just about 20 minutes out from that. And then also in just about 10 minutes, we'll put a little bit of a bow on this Israel-Hamas conversation. We've got some ratings from the networks on how they're covering it. A professor that is about to be relieved of her duties, and also Hollywood speaking out. Justin Bieber, Susan Sarandon, Mark Ruffalo in regards to Israel and Hamas. We'll get to that. But a short segment here, so I just want to mention this story because I love anytime Arnold Schwarzenegger is in the news. By the way, it's been about 13 days since I've watched Terminator. I'm due to watch it again. But remember, back in 2003, Schwarzenegger was the 38th governor of California and served 2 terms. And he has come out now, and he's been doing a lot of media appearances talking about politics. And he was on The View, and he was also on, I believe, I didn't even know this, that Rob Lowe has a show on satellite radio. So he's been doing all sorts of different appearances, and he was on The View on Monday calling for a secure border and comprehensive immigration reform, obviously the southern border being the backdrop to that context. And then he goes on to say, Democrats, quote, want to F up every city in America, which I absolutely love. And that recent remark came during a interview on SiriusXM's Literally with Rob Lowe, when Lowe was asked when Lowe asked the 76-year-old Terminator star and former Republican governor of California what it means to be a Republican and what it means to be a Democrat. Lowe led into the discussion by honing in on Republicans, noting that former Rep. David Dreyer of California characterized the party's platform as consisting of, quote, in no particular order, strong military, which clearly we do not have right now, low taxes, something I think everybody should want, less government, so less government means less taxes, and more personal freedoms. Sounds legit to me, right? It's kind of what I adhere to, the things I look for, noting that there was one more he forgotten to mention. Schwarzenegger says strong law enforcement. Schwarzenegger chimed in a clip that was pulled by Mediaite.com. It's a site that we use frequently on this show. So, yes, strong law enforcement, which that means not open. By the way, if you have strong law enforcement, and just on a little sidebar here, things like what happened late last night into the wee hours of the morning at Philadelphia International Airport, sadly for 2 officers, when those types of things are in place in your city and it's well known that you are a law and order municipality, government, city, state, country, whatever it is, these things will happen less frequently. He says, quote, Democrats are ruining your city. That is what Democrats do every single day. We are about ruining cities. We want to F up every city in America. That seems to be the theme right now, said Arnold Schwarzenegger, to which Rob Lowe said, why is that? Arnold Schwarzenegger says, I have no idea. But he does believe right now in this country, now more than ever, he said that we need to get tougher on a comprehensive immigration reform. And obviously this is stemming from what we have seen statistically at the southern border last month, 304,000. December of 2022, 302,000. So I love anytime Arnold Schwarzenegger is out there. And I had totally forgotten. I didn't even realize that. Well, I did, but I forgot. He served 2 terms in California. He was a governor for 8 years out there. Mm-hmm. And think about, we look at the way our political landscape has shifted in the last 20 years. You go from Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? And think about this. This is 13 years before Donald Trump, basically pulls the Schwarzenegger card and goes from Hollywood and iconic status to politics. And now think about where California is 20 years later with Gavin Newsom. Hard to believe that California could be red with the governor. That's never going to happen again. There's just no way.
It was red with Reagan. Yeah. I mean, I also think that it now could swing. It could possibly swing back because they've had this mass exodus of people, and it has been such a disaster.
Yeah. I'd like to think that, but
he was also very moderate too.
Yeah. No, he was not like a staunch conservative.
Yeah.
And married to a Kennedy, Maria Shriver.
Yeah.
Ah. Okay.
Or, now his ex-wife.
Yeah. Okay.
Stupid things that he did.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of moderates, and we'll get back to Israel, Hamas in a second. I got to say, God bless the internet. And you mentioned a moderate, and Chris Christie certainly would fall under that umbrella. There's a meme video going. I sent it to you guys in the group text last night.
It's a sin.
There's a guy who looks like he's just big, like Chris Christie, and they say, "Here's Chris Christie getting ready to go to battle for Israel and Hamas in the war." And there's this real big guy dressed in Middle Eastern garb trying to get on a camel, and he falls off, and all these people are laughing. And I'm just thinking of it. Like, God, I love the internet. Oh.
Sloppy Chris Christie.
He would kill it. He would break the camel's hump, literally.
Oh.
All right. 855-839-1210. Enough fun. We'll come back. We'll get to the ratings, why MSNBC is tanking when it comes to this war coverage, and Fox and CNN on the uptick. We'll get to those details. And also, sometimes Hollywood, I know which way you lean, but you should just probably keep it zipped. It's Kayal and Company. We're back after this. Stay right there.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171.
There are so many discounts and offers at Cherry Hill Volvo. This 30-second spot is not enough time to share all the benefits of purchasing or leasing a new Volvo from Cherry Hill Volvo. Discounts and incentives for this month start at $5,000 and can be as high as $11,000. Purchase or lease a new Volvo from Cherry Hill Volvo now and take advantage of these fabulous discounts and offers. Visit us soon for the best selection of Volvos. The entire Cherry Hill Volvo team is waiting to partner with you.
Hey, neighbor, what you up to?
Just getting the groundwork done to put in my new patio.
Oh, cool. Did you contact Pennsylvania One Call System to check for underground utilities first?
Nah, there's nothing but dirt back here.
Whoa, hey, man, are you okay?
Hey, did you guys lose power too? Love that new hair color, Bill.
Yeah, your hair's totally white now.
Maybe I should contact Pennsylvania One Call.
Well, that's the smartest thing you've said all day.
Know what's below. Contact 811 before you dig, or visit pa1call.org to submit a locate request to have underground utilities marked.
Don't miss Dr. Marianne Ritchie, your radio doctor, at a special time this Saturday morning at 10. Get accurate information so you can make the right medical decisions. Your radio doctor this Saturday morning at 10 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Hi, this is Dom Giordano. Question for you. How many healthcare providers do you know who schedule downtime in their offices for team training? Not many. But my good friend, dentist and board-certified prosthodontist Dr. Robert Bentz does that because he wants to ensure that he and his staff are well-versed in all the latest technology, so when he invests in new state-of-the-art equipment for his patients, he can rest assured that he and his staff can maximize the performance of the new technology. One of their latest investments is the Trios 5 scanner. Talk about amazing. The Trios 5 has an incredible design which reduces the potential for patients gagging or experiencing discomfort during the impression-taking process. Plus, the process is much faster, which saves Dr. Bentz and his patients precious time. The scans are done, the plan is made, and the on-site lab gets to work. Dr. Bentz and his staff are a well-oiled machine when it comes to your comprehensive dental care. They're always working to make that experience as comfortable and as seamless as it can be. Visit them at BentzDentalGroup.com.
For all of you who love to cook Italian, here's a mouth-watering message from Cento.
Baked lasagna, manicotti, clam sauce with linguine, chicken parmigiana, and tuna capellini, gnocchi alla rosa sauce, pomodoro frittata, pappardelle, perciutelli, pasta caponata.
How do you give those dishes authentic old-world flavor? Authentic Italian cooking begins with Cento. Cento for taste that sings. Cento. Trust your family with our family.
Chronic pain, cancer, fatigue. Find out about the benefits of medical hydration therapy on Health Watch with Dr. Molly Fantasia every Sunday morning at 8 on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Let's talk about Parks Casino in October and the $50,000 Trick or Treat Treasures is on. So win, and you're going to have a close encounter with a creepy claw machine. Yeah, winners selected every 20 minutes. Friday, October 20th. So you earn entries right now through next Friday, October 20th, for your big chance to play the creepy claw with the $50,000 trick or treasures only at the #1 casino, Parks Casino, the hottest entertainment. Yeah, 33,200 state-of-the-art slots, 115 table games, the best sports book on the entire East Coast. I love Joe Conklin's Comedy Night with New York's best club comedians, and sometimes Rich Scioli, every other Thursday night, and the best local bands every single weekend, only at 360 Lounge. And don't miss these top headliners coming soon. Comedian Michael Blaustein, Friday, October 20th. Then Howie Mandel, Friday, November 17th. Air Supply, November 18th. Aaron Lewis, Thursday, November 30th. Michael Carbonaro, Friday, December 15th. And then for the next day, Saturday, Martina McBride. Parks, the ultimate destination for action, excitement, entertainment, free parking, valet parking, EV charging stations. Yeah, for all things Parks Casino, just visit parkscasino.com. This is how you win. Must be 21. Gambling problem, 1-800-GAMBLER.
Free speech lives here. Talk Radio 1210, WPHT, and the free Odyssey app.
Kayal and Company, 736. As we continue Friday morning, what's on the cut sheet inside of 10 minutes? You'll find out what we have in store. Nick, Dawn, and Greg, 855-839-1210 to climb in. On the other side of the cut sheet, we will get into a very interesting story about how Gen Z is moving south. So I've never felt more good about my life to move back north. Perfect timing for me. And then also, CBS's Gayle King says wokeism is truthism. We will debunk that. And also the secret to living to 100. And it's not about making healthy, smart choices. So at this rate, I'll be living to about 117.
Good.
Yeah, baby.
That's what we like to hear.
I'll be in like contract 14 about 86 years from now. I'll be on here just ranting and raving to myself. By that point, we won't even have like studios anymore. We'll just be able to like do radio shows from wherever we would like. Actually, we already have that. Yeah, we already have that, don't we? We'll start doing shows via Zoom if I don't feel like coming in. See if Greg thinks about that. 855-839-1210 is the phone number. So interesting here, and we know that when it comes to the media, you know what you're going to get from CNN and MSNBC. You know what you're going to get from Fox News. You know what you're going to get from News Nation, Newsmax, OAN, things like that. But MSNBC is down, and Fox News and CNN are soaring in the ratings since the start of this conflict between Israel and Hamas. Since this started on Saturday, October 7th, all the major cable news networks have provided coverage both on the ground and in studio. And I know, Dawn, you're a big proponent of, feet on the ground in these types of conflicts. And you said, this is when CNN used to be in their glory days, in their heyday. They were really good at this. And while ratings for CNN jumped and Fox News soared, MSNBC's ratings have taken a steep dive. According to the latest numbers, MSNBC lost a third of their audience in prime time, 33% of a drop, and a 24% drop overall around the clock in viewership. And this is from October 7th to October 10th. In comparison, Fox News saw a jump in total viewers by a whopping 42%, and CNN capitalized, and they saw a gain of 17%. Now, I've got to believe, and we've seen the New York Times with their stealth editing, a columnist, journalist X, we can't use the word terrorist. That's opinion, not fact. We've seen the Canadian Broadcasting Corp, but also whether it's MSNBC, the network, or NBCnews.com, they have been, of all the far left, cable channels or publications with their websites, they have been the most ardent supporters of this pro-Palestinian movement here with Hamas. From Dan Abrams to Mehdi Hassan, and they have basically come out here and made the comment that we're going to shift the blame on the political decisions of Israel and the United States and shifting the focus onto Palestinians and away from the actual victims here, which are the Israelis by Hamas. Now, I think historically, according to Mediaite, MSNBC struggles when there's global conflict and war, and Fox and CNN have traditionally done better. But when your hosts are coming out there and basically making this no different than a New York Times or celebrities in Hollywood, you're gonna turn off a sizable portion of your audience, whether you believe that or not. And the proof is in the pudding here. They lost a third of their audience. It's staggering.
Yeah, because, and I think that's actually a good thing, to let the free marketplace and let consumers, just by turning to somebody they trust as a news source who can do it better without that kind of ridiculous bias, let that give them a message.
Right. Yeah.
I just, these are atrocities. This is horrifying. We've never seen anything like this in our lifetime. And for anybody to try to minimize it or even have a discussion about why both sides are equal or something, it's absurd.
Yeah. I figured there would be some support for, or I should say some anti-Israel sentiment when this broke out last Saturday. I'm 5 days into talking about this now, and we've been covering it since Monday. I would say deeper each. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we were all over it. A little bit less yesterday, a little bit less today, and obviously we'll see the way things play out this weekend with updates and keeping you looped in. But I'm still stunned 5 days in talking about this at the sheer amount of support for, and like they're saying pro-Palestinian, but if you can label it however you want. You're basically justifying and trying to rationalize what irrational people are doing, and that is Hamas. You can't negotiate with crazy, right? There's no cure for stupid. And right now, you just look at this, and it's laughable to me. And now we have people in Hollywood, Mark Ruffalo, who plays the Hulk in the latest movie, Susan Sarandon, Justin Bieber, some of the biggest people, whether they're, if their glory days were in the 80s or 90s, or if they are some of the biggest acts in entertainment or Hollywood today, coming out with these pro-Palestinian, I stand with and support Palestine, says Justin Bieber. Mark Ruffalo, I received a note today from journalist and author of The Day in the Life of Abed Salama that resonated deeply with me. I wanted to share his words as we all watch in horror as to what's unfolding with the Israeli government and Hamas today. Horrific to see innocent civilians killed and held hostage, and while there's no justification for it, we have to understand that both sides are to blame for situations like this. You know, I don't view it that way. I'm not going to sympathize at all with terrorists that are killing Americans, killing Israelis, killing babies, women, the elderly. And that's why I said to me, this is different. This is not killing other soldiers, because when you're in a quote unquote war, there's rules of engagement, things like that. This is just flat out barbaric savagery where you're going door to door and trying to eliminate, eradicate, or exterminate a entire population. This is like, it's actually wild that we have to say it. This is no different than Hitler. Hitler's goal was to eliminate the Jews from the face of the earth. Radical Islamic extremists, under the guise of a holy war, are trying to take out the Jewish people and anybody that sympathizes or supports them and anybody that lives a life similar to us here in the West. They want Americans dead. They want Christians dead. They don't care. And this is the thing, too, about, I thought about this last night with this global day of jihad, this terror. You know, you mentioned, Dawn, in your news this morning, heightened alert police presence. For all of those defund the police activists, I don't wish any ill will on you. Yeah. But if you are in a situation where maybe the police presence isn't what it used to be, and you end up dealing with some sort of escalating tensions today in this country, just remember this. For all of these left-wingers out there that are supporting Palestine, if there's sleeper cells in this country and they show up today and ready to go in any, let's just say in Denver, Colorado, do you think they're going to ask you, are you a liberal or a conservative? No, exactly. They don't care. So, you know, it's, again, wild that we have to even try to have this conversation 5 days in, but that's where we are.
Yeah, you know, we're talking about even the way media words things, and I'm noticing last night and this morning as we're talking about this former Hamas leader saying it's a day of jihad, we keep hearing that.
Yeah.
But instead of reporting the quote, they're saying it's a day of rage.
Day of rage.
And that's not. So I looked up jihad just to make sure, is there something I didn't know? A struggle or fight against the enemies of Islam, and then they use it in a sentence. He declared a jihad against the infidels.
Mm-hmm.
A struggle or fight against the enemies of Islam.
Yep.
It does not mean, it is not a synonym of the word rage.
Mm-hmm. So it's like, so they're trying to justify it as, well, we're not really doing much damage. It's just like looting and rioting. You know, we'll just burn off some energy and, you know, we'll call it a day and go home. I hope and pray that when we come back Monday morning, we are not talking about any major, you know, tragedies in this country that occur today that we won't get a chance to talk about until Monday. I hope that this was nothing more than just posturing and nothing transpires in this country. All right, 855-839-1210 is how you climb in. 7:45 right on the dot. Let's get to a Friday edition of What's on the Cut Sheet.
What's on the Cut Sheet?
What's on the Cut Sheet on this Friday is brought to you by our good friends at Cherry Hill Volvo, where they have ample inventory of brand new and beautiful pre-owned Volvos. Enjoy the luxury experience you deserve. They always go the extra mile for their customers because relationships matter at Cherry Hill Volvo. Check them out on Route 70 in Cherry Hill. Cherry Hill Volvo, where relationships matter. Please tell them you heard about them on 1210 WPHT. Thank you, Cherry Hill Volvo, for sponsoring the ever-important and always the best Friday edition of What's on the Cut Sheet. You know who's somebody who would not fare thee well in the Middle East or Islamic countries?
TikTok influencers?
Dylan Mulvaney.
That was close.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
I don't even wish that upon Dylan.
So apparently Dylan was the recipient of, and Dawn, hold on to your
corncob pipe
blouse. Your blazer on this one. Dylan won Woman of the Year.
Great.
by British magazine. What's the
Vogue?
No.
Esquire?
It was the Virgin Atlantic Attitude Awards.
Virgin Atlantic.
Sponsored by Virgin Atlantic. So Dylan gets up and makes the acceptance speech.
Oh, no. You know, actually, I'm looking forward to this. I'm all Israel Hamas out. I'm looking. I need more Dylan in my life.
Well, that's why I started with this. If you notice, every day this week I started with something that is not. Trust me.
Yeah.
I have 4 pages of stuff here.
Yeah.
I'm not. I have all the Israel Hamas stuff that you could possibly want or not.
Great.
But we're gonna start with Dylan Mulvey.
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. This is the speech.
The Woman of the Year award, supported by Virgin Atlantic, goes to Dylan Mulvaney.
Hello, London!
Oh, my God.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
I am so honored to be here with you all tonight. And, some see me as the Woman of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Some see me as a Woman of a Year
Yeah.
and some change, as I only publicly came out online 560 days ago.
Tracking it to the day.
And some people don't see me as a woman at all.
That's me.
Which is why receiving this honor from a queer publication like Attitude means so much more to me.
Attitude.
Because here's what I've realized. You ready? Okay.
Okay, go.
So, no matter how hard I try, or what I wear, or what I say, or what surgeries I get, I will never reach an acceptable version of womanhood by those hateful people's standards.
Got it.
But as long as I have the queer community that sees me for my truth, I'm going to be okay.
My truth.
And
By the way, let me just stop this
Yeah.
here. Whenever somebody says the word "my truth," run.
Yes, because it's usually fiction. I'd like to thank Dylan for killing my enjoyment of my favorite light beer that I no longer consume or purchase.
Woman of the Year,
Yeah.
Dawn Stensland.
Yeah.
How do we feel about this?
And just to describe Dylan, who used to be a brunette and is now with a blonde little bob and a beaded bustier designer dress with a fluffy, I don't know what you say, tulle kind of skirt.
Tulle's a good
ball
word.
Ball gown.
Yep.
Look, however you want to dress up and they want to give out this award, good for you. God bless you. Just don't try to change laws to have this individual take women's jobs or awards or places in sports. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you go be you. I'm all for personal freedoms in the world. You go be you. And I'm glad that Dylan is blessed to have been born in America.
Do you think? Well, yes, exactly.
Because Dylan would be dead in most.
Right.
I'm not, and I say this not condoning. I'm
Yeah,
simply
of course not.
saying,
Of course not.
to put things into perspective,
Yes.
Dylan would be dead if not in the UK getting this or
Right.
in the United States of America.
I'm sure Dylan's pro-Palestinian right now.
Yep. I was just going to say that. I was
Right.
just going to say, do you think
Oh,
that
there's no doubt.
Dylan has the Palestinian flag?
Yeah. I don't know if Dylan's on Twitter, but I know Dylan is usually on TikTok, which is another reason why I will never be on TikTok. But I'm sure Dylan has supported that, and he's probably gotten a few comments. Who wants to let Dylan in on the secret, right?
A little bit more. By the way, I hate that this person has the same name as my son.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Are you reconsidering? Is it too late?
I might be.
I'm equally grateful that this title is happening in the UK, and not just because I am deeply attracted to your accents, which I am, but because I came to London on holiday this summer after months of feeling isolated. And when I arrived, I didn't feel that baggage that I was carrying back in the US. And I didn't feel like the trans beer girl. I didn't walk into rooms and wonder, does that person hate me? I was just another gal walking around in a Burberry trench on her way to a West End musical. And, I romanticized this country as a safe place. And as dangerous as it is for trans people here right now, like the hate that was spewed last week, maybe it's less about where we are and more about who we're with. And that if I'm surrounded by people like you all, that this still can be one of my safe spaces. So,
Oh my God.
when you have a win for trans rights, that's a win for us back in the States too. And I think if we all just adopt a girl's girl mentality and we say goodbye to the scarcity complexes, that we have a better chance of getting through this, because they want us to be in competition with each other. They would love nothing more.
By the way, if this was an award for a trans person of the year, I would definitely agree that Dylan Mulvaney is the trans person of the year.
He's the king of kings when it comes to the trans community, no doubt.
What people take issue with is woman of the year.
And Dylan had the procedure, correct? Dylan's not a Tucker.
We're not sure about that. Has confirmed facial surgeries and taking out the Adam's apple surgery.
Okay.
But has not confirmed taking off the ultimate male apparatus.
So then this would still apply to Dylan.
You want to pound it? You can.
Stop. Will you stop
do
it?
like a dry rub. It's from a cooking segment. The context. Context matters.
Yes, it does.
No, and that's just it. It just feels like a mockery of everything that is a woman. So you're not. It's okay. Be you. You're a trans individual. God bless you.
God bless you.
I don't even know if this individual is technically gay. I think these individuals have hijacked the gay and lesbian movement, because if Dylan is biologically a male and I believe still has the male apparatus and is attracted to women, you're not gay.
Right. And if what I would ask, I would love to do like a big roundtable conversation with all the letters of the community, LGBTQIA+, a whole bit, and then I would like to just try to understand. So I would ask Dylan, okay, so you are born a biological male, and then I would say, are you attracted to men? And if Dylan said yes, then I would say, okay, well that would make you gay. What made you not want to just stay a man and date another man? What made you want to go to this level and this extreme to become what you are claiming as a female? And then are you attracted to and dating men now? Do you date both? Like, I would love to understand, because I truly, and I say this sometimes tongue in cheek, but I really do believe it. I think it's a mental health breakdown. When you believe that you are in the wrong, I'm sorry, I can't wrap my head around that. There's only two genders. And like Dawn said, God bless you. You do whatever you want. My only pushback is the men coming in and taking women's spots in women's created spaces. And then also, and again, I don't tell parents how to parent. I just think it's a terrible parenting decision to put your kid through any of these procedures. Like, if you want to have the procedure once you're a grown adult at 18 or older, knock yourself out. And I don't know how the doctors get behind it either.
By the way, Newman Price on the YouTube chat says that Dylan still has all the parts.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I believe as well.
Okay, so then Dylan,
you want to pound it, stop, and then do like a dry rub.
Right, so he still can do that.
Cooking segment.
Right. Yeah, we're grilling with Dylan.
Silly. Oh my goodness.
So silly. It's so silly. How dare you? I'm trying to pull something up here. Hang on.
Grilling with Dylan. Throw a few sausages on the grill. Put another shrimp on the barbie.
With the Dylan Mulvaney segment, we like to always refer back to our buddy Michael Pelka, who reminds me of this.
So I recently told my parents that I may be a little bit romantically interested in women.
There we go.
And that was a big shock for them, considering the past 10 years of coming out as gay, then queer, then non-binary, then trans. And I think it was just a bit of a shock. So I tell my dad, and he goes, well, I would love to see you get a woman pregnant. And I said, oh, no. She would be getting me pregnant. And then he said, what, do you have a vagina now?
Got it.
And I said, never say never. And then I tell my mom, and she goes, I would just love to see you own property one day.
No, I would too.
And in California, that's sort of, a parent's dream. It's not having kids or getting married. It's are you able to own a house?
It's my dream too.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
It would be. Yeah. Oh, there he is.
The mom just avoids the topic altogether. The mom does not want to talk about a vagina for Dylan. Mom is just saying, I hope you own property. I hope you're a homeowner. And basically saying, because you're not living in my house.
Front page of the Philadelphia Inquirer. Right-wing radio host and Dylan Mulvaney share identical dream. Home ownership. Won't happen.
God, that's funny. So Vivek Ramaswamy was on with Hannity last night, and boy, was it a train wreck.
It's only been 2 days since Vivek's been on TV.
Vivek went all over. This is Hannity was just so Hannity had issue with him calling out specifically Nikki Haley for what's happening over in Israel. in the Middle East, and they are. Vivek basically said something to the effect of, the reason people care so much about what's happening is because they have vested interests in it. You know what I mean? And he said this.
Correct.
He said this with Tucker too, which is what Sean Hannity takes offense to. This is. I didn't pull the whole thing, but it's just 10 minutes of them yelling back and forth with one another. So I pulled a little bit at the beginning and then a little bit at the end, so you kind of just get the flavor of it. This is how that train wreck of an interview went. Cut 16, Daniel.
Is you're saying that her concern for Israel is driven by financial and a corrupting influence, and your explanation that this disproportionate focus on rape, kidnapping, and murder of the Jewish people in this attack, and that and your quote, that there are frankly financial and corrupting influences that lead them exactly to speak the way they do.
Sean, that is a shameful mischaracterization when I'm talking about Azerbaijan.
Stop right now.
And
I'll read
Armenia,
the exact tweet. You do this in every single interview. You say stuff and then you deny it. You deny your own words. So
I mean, he's right.
Why don't you just own what you say and stand by it and stop playing these games?
I am owning what I say, Sean.
Well, I'm just telling you what you say.
I am owning what I say. Well, I'm telling you.
You're a smart
people can watch
guy.
that
I would
Tucker
assume
interview
you remember
on Twitter
what you
and
say.
X anytime they want. Yeah, I absolutely do. And so, Sean, maybe we have a debate that we need to have in our party. What's happening in Azerbaijan and Armenia was a separate discussion that I had, and I do believe that it is shameful that Azerbaijan is getting away with what they are because they have a powerful lobby in the U.S. But it is shameful to extrapolate that to the comments in Israel, where, to be honest, I have been crystal clear that what's happened is barbaric. It is medieval. It is wrong. And Israel absolutely said this since day one, say it now, has the right to defend itself to the fullest extent. Where I differ from other candidates in this field is that I also believe that this is Israel's decision to make. The U.S. should stand with Israel. But we need to be very careful not to enter a broader regional war in the Middle East.
I have not
that
heard
is a mistake
I have not heard a single Republican.
I agree with
Vivek. I've not heard a single Republican call for that. But I really want an explanation here. I want an explanation to the.
Disagree with you.
Can I finish? I want an exact explanation for your exact comments that there are frankly financial and corrupting influences that lead them exactly to speak the way that they do. Now, why would you say, what are the financial corrupting influences that Nikki Haley is taking a position on? We've got pictures of dead babies decapitated, burned babies' bodies.
Sean,
we've got the equivalent of what would be population-wise in the U.S. over 37,000 dead Americans. So how much more evidence do you? What are you talking about?
Sean, what I'm talking about is what's happening in Israel is an atrocity, and the U.S. absolutely,
you're not
as
answering my question,
should stand with Israel.
Answer the question.
A separate question, which is the corrupting influence on our politicians. Well, the fact of the matter is, I think anybody who has been a military contractor, anybody who...
And it went on like that for 10 minutes.
Well, I mean, he's not wrong from the standpoint of, A, what's going on is horrific, and B, we should support Israel, but we should not be like Lindsey Graham and just go in there and start blasting away, which is kind of the stance you have taken, Stocker. So I don't understand what Hannity's beef is, and I'm not even pro Vivek at this point because I think the shine has worn off a little bit on Vivek, to be honest.
His beef is that he said that Nikki Haley and people in the Republican Party have a vested interest in Israel.
Well, anybody that is, Nikki is certainly more pro-war.
Financial meaning.
Right. Well, Nikki's certainly more pro-war than Trump or Vivek. I think DeSantis might actually be a little bit pro-war as well. And yeah, bottom line, one sentence, war is profitable. And there's a lot of people that make a ton of money.
Yep.
The contractors, Lockheed Martin, on down the list. So I don't know. It seems like a kerfuffle over a whole bunch of minutiae.
The only thing I'm going to interject about Vivek and Hannity is that this was an interview this week with Tucker Carlson on X. And so usually if you're confronting somebody and saying these are your words, you would play, you'd put it up on the screen.
Oh, that's a good point.
Or you would play it and say, well, let's listen into what you said, or let's put the words up on the screen.
Yep.
And so my question is, why not do that?
Yeah,
That's
there's
the better
no
way.
mention of Tucker in that at all.
Well, no, in the last part of it, he
Oh,
does.
okay.
He does bring it up.
Reference it?
Okay.
But why not just put it up there and make it clear? But he did talk about Azerbaijan and the atrocities he said against Americans and so on and so forth. So I still don't really. There was so much back and forth there. It was a hot mess.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even parse through it to see whether or not was he taken out of context. I wish they had produced the interview a little differently.
Mangle Mush says swarmy used car salesman.
Vivek.
Yes.
I've been saying, always be a little leery of the guy that talks a really, really good game.
His point on special interest is not wrong.
No.
It's not wrong.
No.
That's one of the biggest problems with politicians is who's funding them.
Right. And this is another guy who's, quote, an outsider coming in and having the perspective that he has.
It's almost like you know where I'm going there. This is how the interview ended. Daniel, this is the cut that I just sent you. This is how the interview ended here. And then Hannity wraps it up with him, basically cuts him off and ends the interview and says something very unironically at the end of this interview. But they go into the Tucker interview and all of that stuff.
One of the things I loved about that interview with Tucker, one of the things I loved about that interview with Tucker was we were actually able to have a thoughtful conversation and go deep into issues rather than this kind of political gotcha.
The point is this.
Good.
You
go
on these interviews. Yeah, I have nothing but nice things to say, but here's your problem.
People should
you
watch
go
it.
on these shows, people quote your exact words, and you deny your own words.
He
and
does
I'm
do
saying
that.
if you're going to be a presidential candidate,
far from
and
it.
you're going to spend, I'm going to give you your exact words. Either own it,
Sean, you have been
or
sitting here for
pull it
years
back.
talking about the fake news media.
But you played this
have
all
been,
the
Sean,
time.
I'm enjoying this. You have been laughing about the fake news media how many times for the last several years, and now you're buying the mainstream media narrative when you know how corrupt it is.
I am
this is a
following
corrupt
you.
game.
I am quoting your exact words.
Are a problem.
Did I not quote your exact words?
About Azerbaijan and Armenia.
Did I not quote your exact words? Did I quote your exact words?
and Armenia, absolutely.
Thank you.
About
Goodbye.
Azerbaijan, yes,
I got
you did.
time to go.
About a different topic, Azerbaijan, where people should actually get their own information rather than filter through centralized media.
I think it's asinine to think somebody that worked in the defense industry should not be qualified to be president. I think people that never held public office, like you, they're not qualified to be president. Anyway, we'll come back.
So is Trump not qualified?
I was just going to say that.
Trump never held public office before becoming president.
Hannity's BFF?
I know. Now,
That's the problem with Hannity.
Yeah.
He's not very bright.
Well, he's a high school graduate. But he made more money than I'll ever make.
Yeah, exactly.
So God bless him. Vivek, here's the problem. You talk too much. You're on TV all the time. You're doing every media appearance possible. And you got to get your name out there and get your brand. I got all of it. But there's also, and look, he's incredibly intelligent. He's far smarter than I will ever be. But sometimes when you give off that aroma of you're the smartest guy in the room, sometimes your words come back to bite you in the butt. And he is one of these guys that always tries to make the claim when he's called out by somebody else on his own words that it's taken out of context. So it's basically you're saying, I'm not smart enough to understand what you were saying. And then I call you on it and you try to walk your way through it.
Well, Dawn is completely correct, is that how we end all of this is just have the video of him saying that quote. It's not that hard.
Right.
He has 97 producers there.
Yeah.
You're telling me somebody can't transcribe that and put it up there?
Right. Well,
like,
it's the pettiness of the media. It's like, remember when I told you when I used to work at the other sports station and they would never reference Howard Eskin?
Yep.
Like, dude, you're not going to lose anybody, and everybody knows who you're talking about anyway. So just get out of your feelings and just acknowledge the source.
The problem with Hannity, and somebody made this point on the YouTube chat, which I think is a good one, is that he's a bad interviewer. He doesn't it's not that he's not prepared. He talks over people. He yells at people. He doesn't know how. He just likes the conflict of it. And as a programmer, I like conflict too. But he's like seeking that out.
Yeah.
And he doesn't always have his facts backed up. And he should have just played the video and been done with it. Been like, here's what you said. Here's your video.
Yeah.
And let him deny it or support it. Whatever.
Right.
But what do we think about the underlying question there about people who have defense contracts? Money from that holding office.
Yep. Well, holding office?
I mean, that was the whole thing where she's, Nikki Haley, according to Vivek, is what this whole thing was over. Was that
I'm not crazy.
she profits from war.
Not crazy about it, but I got to say this. Keep in mind, these are competitors that are vying for, the Republican primary nominee, which they're all vying for second place. But there's certainly other vying for other spots, potentially in the cabinet. I would say that right now, when you look at Nikki, and I think this actually will correspond with some of the latest polling numbers, Nikki Haley's leading Biden by 4 points. Nikki Haley is up on a bunch of other people. DeSantis is like fourth in New Hampshire. There's not a ton that you can nitpick at Nikki Haley right now if you're Vivek or any other candidate. So I think it's one of the low-hanging fruits, so to speak, that this is the kind of the shot and the barb you have to take at her, because she's been relatively good and buttoned up in a lot of categories.
Yeah, you know what? When you were talking about this and asking the question, I thought of history and President Dwight D. Eisenhower's farewell address, 1961, kind of shocked everyone when he warned against the establishment of that military industrial complex. And it was really prophetic. But I think that one of the reasons that the swamp at all costs does not want Trump, and I mean on both sides of the aisle, is because Trump is not part of the military industrial complex.
That's correct.
Right? And that's why Vivek wants to be mini Trump. And he does.
Mini Trump.
And he even talks like him, like talks a little fast, like mini Trump, because he's saying he's picking up on that. And he is basically saying there is a military industrial complex. And yes, it is hugely profitable. And so the swamp feeds off, think of like Godzilla, feeds off electricity or whatever. I mean, the swamp feeds off of the military industrial complex.
Yep. You're right.
So I think in that spirit of that, I think the problem with Vivek is that you look at Trump, and Trump always simplifies things, and people will even criticize Trump for simplifying it. But Vivek could learn a little bit from him, because Vivek, and he's so smart, and he's so quick, and he's, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But sometimes he over talks it or over speaks it, if you will, and he needs to simplify his message.
Nick, I'm going to just emphasize what you said. Nobody likes the smartest person in the room.
Nobody ever has.
Anybody, everywhere. Everybody hates the smartest person in the room.
Yep.
Vivek comes off as the smartest person in the room.
You're like the teacher's pet.
Exactly.
No, he's
that's
definitely
true.
teacher's pet.
Yep.
Well, that's why that one Chris Christie line where what did he say again?
Chat GPT. It's true. It's true. By the way. And by the way, I think Dan Crenshaw tweeted something, because he went after Dan Crenshaw too.
Oh, they were having a battle back and forth.
Yeah. So Dan Crenshaw tweeted something about it too, about him being a chat GPT. So he's not making a lot of fans.
No.
Which, by the way, I'm a fan, because I think all of these Congress people and they're all corrupt a-holes anyway. So I'm fine with him throwing a hand grenade into not literally, figuratively,
right,
like a hand grenade into this, and just
I am always pro outsider.
Yes.
Exactly.
I mean,
you look at even like for life. Mehmet Oz. I mean, even when you're a bad candidate and you lose to somebody you shouldn't.
Yep.
I love the idea of the outsider coming in to ruffle feathers.
By the way, streaming live on YouTube, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. Please hit the like button. We're like 15 likes away from 100. So if you're watching right now, please hit the like button so we can get to 100 likes. Also, if you have not done so, hit the subscribe button. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@1210WPHT. We're well over 4,700 likes right now, or subscribers right now, which is great. So thank you for that. We had this discussion earlier. I brought this up earlier, so I want to bring it up again. James Rosen to the White House about, look, there's 27 Americans killed by Hamas. Why is Biden relying on Israel to respond? James Rosen asking John Kirby this. Cut 13.
27 Americans killed is a very large number. That is larger than the number of Americans who were killed by terrorists during our withdrawal from Afghanistan, larger than the number of Americans killed at the USS Cole, larger than the number of Americans killed at Benghazi or beheaded by ISIS. And I believe it's accurate to say that after all of those events, direct U.S. military action was ordered by the Commander-in-Chief. 27 Americans killed. Why is it the posture of the Biden administration to just let Israel handle this job, in essence, instead of U.S. forces going in and getting the guys that killed our people?
James,
we will do, as Jake said, everything we can to get those American hostages home with their families. We recognize that they are not the only people being held hostage. Other nationalities are included in that group. We don't have enough information right now to make a policy decision about how to do it. So I can appreciate the sense of urgency in your question. Believe me, we share it. But we aren't going to act one way or another until we have enough information to act upon.
They never want to give you an answer, or they never seem to be prepared to have an answer. But here's an answer that one of our listeners sent in. This was Salty Vet an hour ago, and this is maybe the answer as to why we're in the situation we are and we haven't done more. Salty Vet says, we are not ready to fight Iran. We just lost a war to mountain men in sandals with AKs and no Air Force. I say this as a vet and the son, brother, and dad of vets. Afghanistan was a NATO war and we lost. Iran wouldn't be NATO. I mean, let's think about this for a second. Is it possible, and we've seen recruiting numbers down for the military, we've seen them lowering standards, all in the name of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I mean, is it possible that we're just so a relic of what we used to be from a military standpoint that we're not entering this conflict because we don't want to show our legit weaknesses and have those weaknesses exposed?
I think it's all about the commander-in-chief. I don't think it's about the troops.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, Biden's the easy answer and the correct answer for sure.
Leadership.
Yes.
Head of the horse,
right.
you know?
I mean, we have a commander right now that you can't wake up at 2 a.m. if a bomb goes off, right? Like this guy, 81 years old, the whole bit. And it gets the larger picture again of these people in office that shouldn't be holding these positions. It's honestly, I don't know that there's one simple answer. It's like you ever go to the doctor and you're trying to get something diagnosed and the doctor said, and you really want the doctor to tell you, I have this. And he says, well, it's multifactorial. There's a lot of different things at play here. That's what's going on here.
I don't know, guys. You're taking something away from this that I'm not. My big takeaway on this is that we're ramping up for war. And I don't like it because this has 2003 written all over it.
Full-fledged war or kind of this passive-aggressive response that we're doing with Ukraine?
I don't know, Nick. I feel like it is. I feel like we're ramping up for a full-fledged war.
Okay.
I fear, like I responded to Salty too, our great patriot. I fear you're both right.
Yeah.
I fear that, but I think that the cynical side of me. And I pray every day since Saturday. I just pray about this because it's so terrifying. But you look at this, and it's a way out because, and this is so cynical and horrifying to say, but the truth is, Biden knows from his experience, if you are in war like this, it surely helps an incumbent because we as the American people tend to rally around.
It's a good point.
The president.
That's a very good point.
And
That's a very good point.
And I'm sorry to say that. That pains me to say it, and it pains me to think that I think you guys are right.
Think about how unpopular Bush was until 9/11. I think 9/11 everybody really rallied around him for the most part.
Oh yeah.
When he stood on that mound and said, "Well, I can hear you."
Yeah.
I mean,
when he threw out that pitch at
gives me
Yankee
chills.
Stadium.
Yeah, it's just You're right, Don. There's never there's always a good time. That's always the best time to rally around the commander-in-chief is when there's a conflict or war going on like this. And I just fear that we don't know what we're getting into. And yes, I'm sure that this has Iran's fingerprints all over it. I know, like, Hamas is funded, like they're not they need to be funded by somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm not saying that Iran doesn't have their fingerprints all over it, but I just, we were sold a bill of goods on the WMDs, and I'm just afraid we're going in that direction again.
And also think about the next two elections, or the last two, I should say. We're going to have the last election, which was right smack dead in the middle of a global pandemic, and now we're going to have an election as, quote, World War III's underway. Interesting times.
Because I said it, I've been saying it all this week, and I'm going to continue to say it. This is over religion, and these guys have been fighting this for years and years and years, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and we're just not. It's not our fight.
Yeah.
We don't need to get involved. I get it. I get that there's hostages, and you know what? You want to send in SEAL Team 6 in the dead of the night, or Delta Force in there in the dead of the night to get them the hell out of there. Fine.
Yeah.
I'm all for that. but we can't be our involvement needs to end there.
It's the war that will never end, sadly.
So what are we up against in this country? Everybody's wondering that.
Progressives.
This was a pro-Hamas college protest.
Pro-Hamas.
George Mason University. Where's George Mason University?
That's, I think, in Washington, D.C. area?
Is it? Okay.
I think.
So you have to see this video. You can hear it, too. But they're chanting, they've got tanks, we've got hang gliders, glory to the resistance fighters.
Oh.
This is happening on our college
You know,
campuses,
on second thought, I'm going to pull a Hunter Biden. I'm taking the money out of my daughter's college funding, and I'm going to spend it on hookers and booze. And my girls are going to trade school.
Yeah, it's really scary when you see what's happening in these colleges.
George Mason, by the way, Fairfax County, Virginia.
Especially on today of all days. I guess this happened yesterday, but today of all days with the global day of jihad.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm sorry I didn't get you guys anything for the holiday.
Yeah.
I'll remember next day of global jihad. Cut 11.
They got tanks, we got hang gliders. They got tanks, we got hang gliders. Glory to the resistance fighters. Glory to the resistance fighters.
These are kids, by the way.
Yeah.
It sounds like glory to the hang gliders.
Yeah.
Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Long live Palestine. Long live Palestine.
Settlers go back. It's unbelievable. And
you know,
by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, it's not a small number of people.
Right. So a couple of things with this. Number one, I hate academia anymore. It's nothing more than a cesspool of woke think tank. That's number one. Number two, I also saw a video of students at the University of Washington, or a university in the state of Washington, where there were literally females 18 to 22 at one of these protests that was pro-Palestine, and they're crying in front of like police officers and administrators, like saying, these are the people that want us dead. Can't you do anything about this and have this stop? Enough already. But let me just point out that moment there, because this is not just that university, George Mason. We have seen universities across the country with these protests. We now live in a country where Riley Gaines faces more blowback when she shows up to save women's sports than people that show up for the pro-Palestinian Hamas side of this cause. Let that sink in for a moment. Riley Gaines is viewed as more of a deplorable than anybody there in support of killing Jews.
All this week we've been talking about sleeper cells in the United States. They're really not sleeper cells. They're out in the open.
No, yes.
We played them in Dearborn, Michigan yesterday. That speaker at a giant theater filled with people. All of these college campuses. Let's play what happened yesterday in Philly. Thanks to Daniel Valdez for finding this. This is K1. These were on the street. This was on the streets of Philadelphia yesterday.
200. You want me to tell you?
Yeah.
It's 200 supporters locked down Market Street. All the news stations covered it, and it's on the Inquirer as well. But I mean, they shut down hundreds of these pro-Palestine supporters, and they're specifically critical of the news coverage, saying, why isn't the news coverage, covering Palestine, the Palestinian viewpoint?
Yeah. K1. I mean, guys, we used to work right across the street from this.
Oh, is this 4th and Market?
Well, they shut down that whole section of Market Street.
They're in plain sight. They're out there.
Right. I love how there's that guy with his little briefcase. He goes scooting by. Sorry, I got to get in the court. It's like, wow.
Yeah.
And we have the Philly Palestine Coalition. That's another group that held the rally.
Yeah.
And that was last Sunday.
Speaking of shutting down roadways, I saw a video last night on social media that there were Palestinian men who shut down the LIE Was that the Long Island Express? I forget what it actually stands
Yes.
for. And they cut off the cars, and they were doing like donuts, spinning across the highway, all the smoke from the tires screeching, and waving the flag. And all you see is the entire traffic come to a screeching halt, and they can't do anything.
Let me just tell you guys this: that viewpoint for most of those protesters on college campuses in Philly, wherever, like at that
Harvard?
theater in Dearborn, Michigan, that their motto for most of them is "Death to Israel." That is the motto. So when we had this whole big kerfuffle a couple years ago with dudes in tiki torches saying, Jews will not replace us or whatever they were saying. Remember the news coverage on that. Remember how this is America in 2016 or 17, whatever it is, and this is the world we live in. That their motto is "Death to Israel." So that is just as scary to a Jewish person as dudes in tiki torches.
Yeah.
I would say even probably more.
Yeah. Non-binary, fully semi-automatic assault pistol on Twitter says, just kidding. That's his Twitter handle. Says Hamas brings its global day of jihad to Philly, only to find with disappointment that the city is already so violent that nobody notices.
That's true. Wow. That's a good point.
What a sad state of affairs for our city.
You mentioned at the start of the 7:30 segment about MSNBC's ratings kind of
down 33%.
In the toilet right now because of their coverage. I mean, even the Greenblatt from the ADL went on Morning Joe and was like, "Who's writing your scripts, Hamas?" Like, it's a very in my opinion, it's very pro Hamas what they're doing. Katie Tur yesterday on her program had on Nora Erakat. She's a Palestinian-American activist. There's a few cuts here that I want to play, but I think it's important because I want you guys to hear this because she's like a human rights activist or something like that. And the words that she's saying here, it's all these little buzzwords like apartheid system and settlers and all of that stuff that she's saying for Israel. And like, again, these people are in plain sight and they're being interviewed on MSNBC to what I would say is a very sympathetic host.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with cut 7 here, Daniel.
Joining me now is Nora Erakat. She's a human rights attorney, Palestinian-American activist, and associate professor at Rutgers University. Nora, the images that we've been seeing...
By the way, associate professor at Rutgers University.
Oh, of course. Of course.
You have to hear what she's basically saying that, like, there's no way forward without Hamas.
Oh.
Like, this is, like, she's not
this
even...
This is necessary.
She's not even... sugarcoating this. I'm going to start that over, Daniel, because I know it's hard to. So I'm going to start that clip over.
Joining me now is Nora Erakat. She's a human rights attorney, Palestinian-American activist, and associate professor at Rutgers University. Nora, the images that we've been seeing for the past 6 days, both inside of Gaza and the images of what happened to the Israeli citizens, both have been so gut-wrenching, so difficult to watch. It makes it feel like there is an intractability to this fight. As you've been studying this, what can happen next?
Thank you, Katie. These are indeed gut-wrenching images, but they are also preventable images and preventable mass atrocities. The condition that the largest crime in the condition that sustains this violence is the crime of apartheid and the apartheid system that Israel oversees and that the United States has been the primary supporter of in military, financial, and diplomatic support. This is not something that can be solved militarily. This requires a political and a diplomatic solution, one that so many of us have been working towards. And yet what we're seeing in this very moment is a fomenting for absolute indiscriminate war crimes against Palestinians. You have
war crimes against Palestinians.
Oh, okay.
War crimes against Palestinians.
Right. I love how all people on the left have used the BLM movement to talk about the oppression of minorities. And then we have now the oppression of the Palestinians. The Jews have been oppressed forever. I mean, you can't pick and choose selectively a la carte which oppressed group you support and which ones you either support all of them or you have no problem with any of them being oppressed. It's like you can't pick and choose like with science. with the trans movement. Oh, I believe in science with this, but I'm just going to totally dismiss biology because I believe I'm a female. No, like pick a side and be consistent with it and remain consistent regardless of what specific group we're talking about here.
Hey, parents, by the way, she's teaching your kids at Rutgers University. I'm serious. She's teaching your kids this crap at Rutgers University.
Well, if you haven't raised your kids right, it's too late once they get in college. So you better start from day one.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, to be critical thinkers. Number one. Number two, the first part of what this woman said, the pro-Palestinian woman, the first part that she said was correct. This should never have been a military solution. It should have been done through proper negotiations. But when Hamas went door to door and was pulling out mommies and babies and families and grandmas and slaughtered them and brutalized them, and you're talking about, think about if you have 150 hostages and you think about all of the deaths that happened that day, door to door, imagine here in Philadelphia, I mean, just go door to door to door to thousands of individuals and gunning them down like that. Okay, so to her point, she would then disagree with what Hamas did because they took it to the level of military. And what is anybody supposed to do at that point? You've now taken hostages underground like a snake down in this whole tunnel system. What is the world really supposed to go? Okay, well, you have our children and wives and grandmas and grandpas and whatever and daddies down in but we're just gonna all join hands and sing Kumbaya.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Let me give you another. Speaking of woke professors at higher institutions of learning, so you have a radical Yale professor who is now being facing calls to be fired over comments on her Twitter page over the Hamas attacks, calling it a murderous, genocidal settler state. She says, quote, her name is Zarina Gruel. She's a historical anthropologist at Yale University. Quote, my heart is in my throat. Prayers for Palestinians. Israel is a murderous, genocidal settler state, and Palestinians have every right to resist through armed struggle, solidarity. It has been such an extraordinary day, she retweeted, and also doubling down in another tweet, arguing that, quote, no government on earth is as genocidal as this settler colonial state.
Oh, my God.
Is she not aware of what's going on in China?
She's a professor?
Yeah, professor at Yale. You know, I'll tell you what, the Ivy League, man, they crank out some doozies, don't they?
MGM guy on the YouTube chat says, stop playing these Hamas propagandists. You're giving them what they want. No, I think we're doing a service here by exposing what's happening.
Yeah. And Greg is exposing MSNBC.
Yes. Yeah, because you'll hear that. I mean, Katie Tur tries to push back a little bit, but like she's clearly agreeing. She's clearly agreeing with what this person is saying. I'm going to continue where I left off there, Daniel.
Had a representative of the Israeli state on before you who was given a platform to talk about these military operations, despite the fact that Israel has targeted the Palestinian Red Crescent Society, has targeted sheltering the Palestinians, has targeted electricity sources, has targeted access to clean water.
After
and yet
what?
Here he is on your program
After what, right?
justifying these war crimes, whereas you would never, ever allow a Palestinian representative of state, let alone of Hamas, on your program to talk about their military operations and justify them on your program. We have to be clear. If we want to protect civilian life, we want to protect all civilian life. If we want to apply the laws of war, then we apply all the laws of war across the board without exception. And unfortunately, we are hearing a very racist, dehumanizing framework that is justifying these war crimes against Palestinians.
Can you justify what you've been seeing happen to the Israelis? Can you justify the images of the babies?
Who justifies that? Palestinians are the people who have been protesting non-violently for decades. The Palestinian struggle for freedom is 100 years old, as they have been protesting against the usurpation of their land and their forced displacement. Hamas wasn't established until 1987. Palestinians have been protesting against the siege for 16 years. In 2018, 40,000 Palestinians marched week in and week out while Israeli snipers.
She's also not addressing
No.
the question.
Of course not. Nobody ever addresses the questions on these interviews.
Well, that's the thing, is that she's like, and they're cutting off water supplies and all that stuff. Why are they doing that?
Yeah.
Like, did we just forget what Dawn Stensland just said, that you know, they were going around home to home?
Yep.
Like, are we just forgetting that? They didn't just do this because, hey, let's start a war.
And now you see why MSNBC is down 33% in prime time and 24% overall.
It's just, I'm all for, but this, I said this earlier this week. This seems to be the only conflict that the media seems to, well, let's bring on a representative from Hamas.
Yeah.
Let's bring on
They both sided.
Chris Cuomo had a guy from Hamas on.
Yeah, right.
Now, granted, he walked off the interview, but like, what
Why
are we
would you?
doing?
Why would you book somebody from Hamas?
Here's a Nazi.
Yeah.
Let's hear what he has to say.
Yeah. It's, let's see if we can book Bin Laden. Is he available right
exactly.
now? Does any producer in the back have Bin Laden's phone number? Like, what in the hell are we doing? You know, it's one thing you can sit here and say, yes, I'm not against Palestinian people in general. You could sit here and say, yes, I believe in free speech and the right to protest. But rationalizing and trying to normalize any act of terror or any terrorist group or their radical agenda, no matter, you can give me all this, like she was sitting there, well, they weren't created until 1987, and they've been fighting this battle for 100 years, and you can go back to 1973. Okay, I got it. I got all, like, I can Wikipedia all of it as well. But it doesn't justify the right to do that.
Exactly. I'm going to move on to cut 5 here. This is where she discusses that there's no way forward without Hamas. Did you hear that? No way forward without Hamas.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just passing a kidney stone.
No. Cut 5.
About Hamas. Is Hamas a government that is functional and should remain in Gaza? Do you think that there's a coexistence between the Israelis and the Palestinians with Hamas?
I absolutely believe in coexistence. There is only one future. We either all survive together in mutual existence, or we all die together in this mutual destruction. There is no way forward. We have all got to exist together. What is the U.S. and Israeli plan right now? What do they plan on doing? Invading all of Gaza and decimating it? How do you get rid of a fight for freedom? This is a freedom struggle. It's not just encapsulated in one political party like Hamas. It is encapsulated across the Palestinian diaspora, across all Palestinian political parties. You cannot extinguish a struggle for freedom. The demand is an end of the occupation for 56 years now, a demand of lifting of the siege 16 years now, and a demand of the end of 75 years of settler colonial removal and replacement. There is a political solution.
Hear all these buzzwords?
Yeah, and the one word that stood out to me is in the beginning is where she says that Hamas is a government. So I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for Hamas. It says, and I'm reading this directly from their page, Hamas, officially the Islamic Resistance Movement, is a Sunni Islamist political and militant organization currently governing the Gaza Strip of the Palestinian territories. While it is headquartered in Gaza City, it also has a presence in the West Bank, and it goes on and on and on. To me, if somebody wants to try to argue the case that they're a government, knock yourself out. To me, Hamas is a terrorist organization. So let's not make it sound like this is like a established provincial government with citizens that fund the employees of the government through their tax dollars and all this other garbage.
Also,
they do have the Fatah, F-A-T-A-H. They do have the Fatah, and they're more west, right?
Yeah.
And so they're more moderate. They're not the violent.
Oh.
They're not known as the violent militant.
The Hamas rhinos.
So Hamas, at some point, they were more. They pushed for them. This may sound familiar. They pushed for more, social changes and that sort of thing. Then once they came into power, they became very militant and intimidating.
And radicalized.
Also, by the way, she's not. If you notice here, all we hear from these people is, well, there's a difference between the Palestinian people and Hamas. What she's saying is there's not. She's lumping them both together. There's no way forward without Hamas. Is basically what she's saying. We continue.
Human rights organizations have mapped out a human rights path, which includes sanctions on Israel because of its apartheid policies, weapons sanctions that they cannot be using indiscriminately against Palestinians. There is a political pathway forward. We have been urging all to follow it. We have to allow for spaces of hope with dignity for all people. This cannot be ended militarily.
There are many people in Israel, there are many people in the Palestinian territories, West Bank and Gaza, who are all for that, who want that. And we've talked about the current Israeli makeup of the government and the inability of forging a path forward with Palestinians. We've done extensive reporting on that on this show for the past week. But I have to ask you again.
Wonderful.
What
Thank
about Hamas? What do you do with Hamas?
Hamas was established in 1987 in the midst of what's known as the first Palestinian Intifada. They were established as an opposition to the Palestinian, to Fatah, and wanted to wage a liberation struggle. From the moment that the Oslo peace process was established, Israel began to besiege the Palestinians in Gaza by creating a perimeter around them. Hamas is a political party. We see them making political decisions as well. They've been portrayed as fanatical terrorists who are out there for primordial lust and violence and hate. And yet Hamas is a political party that has switched its allegiances. We saw them become a governing party and not just a resistance movement following the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. We saw them leaving Syria and moving to Qatar in the midst of the Syrian uprising. They are eligible to be part of a Palestinian unity government, which Israel and the United States have thwarted. We have to recognize that they are not going to disappear.
They're not going to disappear.
So Hamas is a political party. I would have followed up with the question of, do they believe in mail-in ballots? But I digress. It says right there on the crawl, if you were watching on YouTube on MSNBC, there's a quote from Netanyahu that says, Hamas is against civilization. I would take it a step further. I would say that Hamas and any of these terroristic groups in the Middle East are against evolution of society. Yep. You know, they don't believe that women should have rights. They don't believe that you should be, as a gay person or bisexual, that you should be able to, you know, spend the rest of your life with whatever sex or gender you want to spend that with. Like, they are legit. Like, when you hear say, oh, man, would you just crawl out from a rock, dude? Like, these people live like it's the Stone Age still.
Yes.
And they don't believe in. So, like, when all these left wingers come out and say, oh, MAGA Republicans, you're transphobic, homophobic. Like, you want to say that? I present to you Hamas as my counter argument.
Reminder once again, this woman is a teacher at Rutgers University.
Yeah, where's she at? The Camden branch?
One more. This is
Piscataway?
This is a short one. She says an entire generation of Palestinians have been left and abandoned, and that's why Hamas was formed. Cut 4.
Here
with others in a unity government, I think Hamas can stay.
Whether or not they can or cannot stay is not the issue, because the alternative of what you're saying is that we decimate Hamas. And I have to remind viewers, Hamas is a political movement comprised of Palestinians who believe in a freedom struggle forward.
See, let me just say one more thing. That's the other thing with this too. Okay. They're not. These people aren't denouncing Hamas.
Mm-hmm.
We say that all the time. Like, if somebody carried out some horrific act in the name of your religion or Dawn's religion or anybody else, you guys would be the first to come out and say, this doesn't represent Christianity.
I would denounce it if somebody came out and did that and claimed it was on behalf of the Republican Party. Like, that doesn't represent my belief.
I do not hear this quote-unquote peaceful group coming out and saying this does not represent us.
No.
She's not doing that.
It's amazing. We only use words like mostly peaceful when it fits a certain agenda or narrative.
We continue.
They are not merely these sensational images that you see. The members of Hamas that you saw recently, right? I just want to make clear to people that these are not monsters who emerged from underground just wanting to terrorize Israelis. These are young men who have only grown up under siege for the past 17 years, who have been subject to 4 large-scale offensives that have bombed them in their homes, that have targeted medics and hospitals and water supplies, that have refused them a future and told them that the only future they have is to remain in an open-air prison. We have denied them of hope. So when you say Hamas, we are actually talking about an entire generation of Palestinians who have been left and abandoned by the international community. I want us to shift away from focusing on a political party and remind people that this is about a Palestinian struggle for freedom. It far exceeds Hamas. It is not about Hamas. It is not about Gaza. It is about all of Palestine and all of Israel and about a future for everybody.
So everybody wants to say it's about a future for everybody. So what's your plan? Because since the beginning of time, I keep hearing about what's right, what's wrong, and what the future should look like. Has anybody laid out a plan? And, oh, by the way, even if you have a plan, can you rationalize and have negotiations with people that are crazy? Probably not. By the way, I've never yearned for talking more about Donovan McNabb than I have right now. I miss those days.
I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
No, I'm sorry.
By the way, so for all the people out there, like I played this clip because I think she's she's a good representation of what they're saying.
Agreed.
There's no difference between Hamas and the Palestinians. Yep. She's saying that.
She did say that.
She did.
Well, and Stocker's been right.
No, it's not me. I'm not trying to be right. I'm trying to.
No, but you've made that point this week that you think a big majority of the Palestinian people believe this.
Yes,
and are rooting this on.
Somebody on Fox News did an interview with a U.S. citizen stuck in Gaza. This was look, I mean, you feel for these people.
Yeah, you want a little lighthearted joke here?
Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius on Twitter says, "Fact: Hamas is against AM radios and cars."
That is true. Cut 2 here, Daniel.
It feels very terrifying and really kind of forgotten. Everything's on edge. My car doors, anything passing, you think it's another bomb or a whiz of a rocket. So it's kind of again, you feel a bit lost when you don't hear anything more from your government.
There you go.
Wow.
So that's a U.S. citizen stuck in Gaza.
And I also want to just say this, because this has not been mentioned by anybody, I think, on this show all week. Radical Islamic extremists come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. It's not everybody that you think that I mean, you could, right? We talk about sleeper cells right now. There are a lot of people that are, quote, American or white that convert to this, that convert to Islam and then become radicalized.
Yep.
So it's not always just, oh, it's the guy that's got something over his face or he's waving the Palestinian flag. There are people that have joined this jihad that look, quote, just like you and I,
Yep.
that are flying under the radar. So I think that's worth mentioning as well.
All right, let's lighten it up here. While the world is exploding.
Give me a little Dylan, more Dylan.
No, well, the world is exploding, and there's turmoil going on everywhere. Our vice president is touring colleges.
Boy.
So on 10/11, I guess that was a few days ago, she was at the College of Charleston.
Okay, South Carolina.
Cut 8.
So I'll tell you one of the things about me. So I'm kind of a nerd on certain levels about certain things. So here's one reveal. I love Venn diagrams. I love Venn diagrams. I'm telling you, whenever I'm facing like a conflict and I need to sort it out, give me a Venn diagram every day of the week, right?
Twice on Sunday. So we're talking about conflict, right? So this is where the vice president of the United States, if she's not doing college tours and literally reading the same script again, and I'm sure she got unburdened by the past and what could have been, and then she giggled. I mean, so if we're talking about, because there's a conflict going on right now, right?
That's what I've heard.
There's a conflict in Israel, right?
Yep, that's what I've heard.
Could the Venn diagram solve the conflict in the Middle East?
Are
we a Venn diagram away from Kamala Harris ending the war of all wars?
1 day later, October 12th, She's at the College of Southern Nevada. She said this, cut 9.
And that's why community is so important and coalition is so important. So here's I think at this point a well-known secret about me. I love Venn diagrams. I love Venn diagrams, and whenever I am presented with it's the same thing. I always wonder, is there a Venn diagram to figure this stuff out?
And we love that about you.
Right. So
a day later, the exact same
I thought
quote.
you were playing a.
No, it's like she's like the Beatles going from city to city. It's the same. It's the same playlist.
I want to hold your hand.
It's unbelievable, and it's so scripted and to a T that the giggle and the laugh and the voice inflection is 100%. You can't pick it. You can't say, well, that was Wednesdays and that was Thursdays. You don't know the difference.
You don't.
That's so weird.
She does the exact same bit.
She's got to be on something.
She does the exact same bit.
Told you.
Yeah.
Somebody put makeup and lipstick on Nick.
Oh no! Where?
This is
social media.
True. I love the YouTube feed putting Snapchat filters on everyone.
Oh no!
Oh no!
God.
Drew Offner on.
Dude, I look banged up in this picture. Oh man,
Daniel,
I'm gonna retweet this.
Daniel, I'm gonna post. I'm gonna send this to
put
you.
Put me in box 4, baby.
If you can put Nick, Drew. I mean, that's just sad.
Wow.
Did he have the surgery?
No, I'm a Tucker, Dawn.
Oh. We'll do it live. So sad.
Wow. I would scare a lot of people at Halloween.
Yeah.
I might go like that in 3 weeks. 2 weeks.
To where?
That's gonna be my Halloween look.
That's funny.
All right, let's do the big 3.
Look how thick my eyebrows look in that picture.
I know.
All right, 8:47. Oh man, thank you, Drew. I think Drew's got to win. This has got to be the leader. There's no way anybody's going to top Drew in the next hour on Twitter. So hang.
Well, we don't know that. We don't know that. Daniel, do you see that? Can you pull that up, or do I need to send it to you?
Daniel's in the toilet again.
He's in the toilet.
He sounds like he's in the bathroom again.
Oh, poor Daniel.
It's like he's in the. He sounds like he's connected to the urinal.
Yeah, there's something wrong with his studio back there.
Yeah, we should dismantle that studio.
YouTube.com/at. Oh, there it is. YouTube.com/at1210WPHT. Good job, Daniel.
Oh my God.
You look good.
I look like I was up all night crying my eyes out.
It is with the. Those aren't your real eyebrows, are they? No.
No, God, no.
Kind of drew him in.
Yeah. What possessed somebody to do that? Just randomly on a Friday.
It's hysterical.
Let's just.
YouTube.com/at1210WPHT. Hit the like and subscribe button, please.
Maybe,
Boy Nick of Culture Club, Kevin Pools,
Boy Nick.
winning YouTube so far with that comment.
I think I could be a spokesperson for Bud Light with that picture. All right, but Dawn Stensland's a spokesperson for Kayal and Company's news, and it's time for her Big 3 at 8:48.
It's the Big 3 at 8 on Kayal and Company.
And on this Friday the 13th, day of jihad, according to some, I'll follow up on your story of college campuses, what's happening. So now we have a biggity big Penn donor. This is a very wealthy donor who once gave $50 million to Penn here locally and is a Wharton grad who chairs Wharton's Board of Advisors, is asking that Penn's president, as well as its board chair, resign after the way they handled the last month of the Palestine Rights Festival, which they say embraces anti-Semitism.
Okay.
So this is the latest. We talked about Rutgers, we talked about Harvard, Yale, and the Ivy League, and so on. Well, this is Mark Rowan, who's a Wharton graduate and is also the CEO of Apollo Global Management, and calls on the alumni and supporters to please close your checkbooks.
Wow.
Close your checkbooks.
Hit him where it hurts.
And saying, I guess Mark Rowan is actually kind of sounding like your bus driver.
Oh, well, yeah, absolutely.
Done
with this.
Done with it. So you got Penn doing this. Penn actually employed Joe Biden to actually never teach a class. I'm glad Penn Law rejected me 17 years ago from law school.
You haven't gotten over it.
No.
Oof.
Actually, now I have. I'm glad.
Good.
Yeah. Temple did you well.
Yes.
All right. Number 2. Number two, I will tell you that there's a lot of breaking news with Israel issuing that 24-hour evacuation warning to Gaza citizens. There are protests there in the Middle East, in Yemen, as well as on the West Bank. And here in Philadelphia, Market Street shut down. Yesterday, there are groups, 24 Jewish groups who are planning on Monday, Sunday and Monday in Philadelphia, a prayerful call for peace among our Jewish community here in the greater Philadelphia area. This will be huge on Monday. And so some traffic alerts as well for Monday. But speaking of traffic alerts, Joe Biden is here in Philadelphia today. Yeah. And so he's scheduled here to, and this was pre-scheduled, so I'm surprised they haven't canceled it. 8th time Biden traveled to Philadelphia this year, at least the 15th since he took office in January of 2020. He's expected to announce a hydrogen hub based in Philadelphia that gets part of the $7 billion in federal funding meant to accelerate hydrogen as a clean energy source.
No, and how's that powered, by the way, Dawn?
Usually by gas.
Interesting.
So that I know. What?
Daniel put up a split screen of Nick with the.
Now, if only he could. If only I could be on video live talking and looking like that.
You gotta draw in my eyebrows like Nick.
Daniel, can we do something where we put in like
Can you put hair on my head?
His mouth talking or something?
Yeah.
That would be.
Can you take Dawn's hair and apply it to my head?
YouTube.com/@1210.
Kind of looks like a rock star.
He does.
I know.
He does.
Like an 80s grunge.
Thanks for doing that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Dawn.
Okay, well, Daniel, if you could find the frog story, I should have sent him images of this.
Uh-oh. This
is the biggest story of the day and my favorite story because, we've teased about things like I tease about playing. Remember how I've talked about playing possum?
Yeah.
Because you're tired.
Right.
And so a lot of, especially women, we will play possum with our husband.
Mm-hmm. I've heard about it.
Who knew that female frogs, they take it to a whole new level.
Oh.
They actually they fake their deaths to avoid.
So they fake their orgasms.
Mustard.
So these researchers, I want to see all the video from this. Researchers from the Natural History Museum, and they said that frogs have tactics, but they thought previously they would be to escape during the mating season.
Right.
But these 33% of these amphibians, these specific frogs, play dead, or in scientific terms, experienced tonic immobility, the stiffening of outstretched limbs, and the inability to respond to stimuli.
Wow.
And so you see the male frog trying to poke her and trying to wake her up, and she's just like, "Bleh."
So the male frog is like, and the lady's like, no. That's interesting. I mean, so the male frog is basically relegated to this.
You want to pound it and then do like a dry rub. But it's hysterical, and I don't know. I just love the story. That now they've gotten so much reaction from it that they've said.
Well, wasn't there a phrase for people that were horny? They would say, "I'm horny as a toad."
Well, I guess a male toad.
Yeah, so I guess male frogs, toads are just horn dogs.
Well, frogs and toads aren't the same thing, right?
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But so I guess that for frogs, I did not know this. When they attach to one another to mate, they actually literally become one and rely on their breathing.
Yeah.
And so the reason the male frog would not want to attach to a frog he thinks is dead, that he would then die.
Wow.
Because he's trying to breathe through a dead frog, and then, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Daniel, you're the Oh, yeah, look at that.
Look at it. It blends in with the leaves.
YouTube.com/@1210WPHT, the female frog playing dead.
Yeah.
So the other horny frogs don't come and...
Whatever happened to the Budweiser frogs? We got to bring them back. That's the one thing Bud could do right now to get past Dylan Mulvaney. Bring the frogs back. Look at that frog. He blends right in.
So playing possum.
Yeah.
Now we have all these female frogs. I just wanted to make you giggle. I just thought it was hysterical.
I know. By the way, are these frogs radicalized, or are these mostly peaceful?
They identify as
Yeah.
dead, but they have tonic immobility, the stiffening of outstretched limbs. I have never heard of tonic immobility.
Well, I have. That's where I have a few gins. You see gin and tonic.
YouTube.com/@1210WPHT. Hit the like button and hit the subscribe button if you're. There's a lot of people tuning in that want to see this.
Yeah, let's get back to Hamas.
If you're in the mood. And that's the big three.
All right, thank you very much, Dawn. 855-839-12. Oh, now what?
It's split pictures. Just
Yeah, you know what? For the rest of the show, let's just go split screen. Frogs to the left and me to the right. What would you rather look like, a toad or me auditioning to be a part of Kiss?
Fridays are always the best YouTube shows, by the way.
Right?
They
No
are.
doubt, yeah.
We're all punch drunk.
Yeah.
Too much talking about serious
I know.
subjects all
No.
week. That's
I
the
know.
problem.
Oh, boy. All right. I've got so many good things to get to because we're only like a third of the way through what I planned as usual, but that's always a good thing because you never want to run out of material. So we'll come back. We've got the big well, we just did the big three.
Yeah.
Dawn's Morning Mystery Movie Clip, part 2 of the cut sheet. But let's get away a little bit from the Hamas stuff. It's the final hour of the week. CBS's Gayle King says that wokeism is truthism. We will debunk that and also the counter-revolution to the woke revolution in the classroom. We'll get to that story and see if that test can actually become truth. It's Kayal and Company, 4th hour, next.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel Sportsbook in partnership with Valley Forge Casino. It's America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Hey, with all this Phillies action happening, everybody has Phillies fever. Let's not forget, our Eagles are 5-0 right now. They go into MetLife Stadium on Sunday to take on the New York Jets. The Aaron Rodgers-less New York Jets. By the way, the Eagles favored by 7. I would take that. Eagles -7. All you have to do, go to FanDuel.com/Greg. FanDuel.com/Greg. Get $200 in bonus bets when you place your first $5 bets. All you have to do is put $5 on the Eagles -7. You get $200 in bonus bets. You have nothing to lose. FanDuel.com/Greg. FanDuel is the official partner of the NFL and is the official partner of 1210. WPHT 21 and over. President PA. First online wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms of sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Larry Steinitz of Investor Schooling. I am so proud to announce the continuing success of our students at Investor Schooling. You already know that at Investor Schooling, we teach real estate investing and stock options. Did you also know that we teach things about tax savings, estate planning, and business coaching as well? We teach things about money I bet you never knew. At Investor Schooling, we teach from the perspective of true experience. If you want to see what our students think about Investor Schooling, please check out the over 160 5-star Google reviews. To find out more about how you can change your financial life, go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829. That's 866-424-2829, and you can attend a complimentary class this Thursday at 7 p.m. Attend that class and see for yourself what Investor Schooling is all about. Go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829. That's 866-424-2829. We can't wait to see you this Thursday.
So many listeners are enjoying beautiful, easy-to-maintain homes thanks to Rhino Shield, and you can too. Dom Giordano here with my good friend, the local owner of Rhino Shield. John, take it away.
It's John from Rhino Shield. Fall is here, and now would be a great time to protect your home with Rhino Shield's 25-year guaranteed exterior house paint. Don't let your home's exterior weather another winter without our exclusive weatherproof house coating. It goes on like paint and looks like paint on any exterior surface. But with Rhino Shield, your home is protected, and you'll never have to paint again. Join thousands of your neighbors who have already made repainting a thing of the past by calling Rhino Shield today. For a free consultation and our lowest pricing of the year, call us now at 484-406-5111. That's 484-406-5111. Or visit us online at myrhinoshield.com. Remember, traditional paint just doesn't last, but Rhino Shield does.
Hi, this is Dr. Brad Schaefer. As a podiatrist, I can tell you no two people's feet are alike, which is why I recommend Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotic inserts. They're customized for your feet, so you get a unique solution your feet really need, not just a one-size-fits-all insole. They're clinically proven to provide pain relief for achy feet, knees, lower back, plantar fasciitis, and heels. Take the Dr. Scholl's Custom Fit Orthotics Assessment in Walmart today. Now in the foot care aisle.
Are you putting your retirement savings in a 401k or IRA? Then I have one word of advice. Stop. You've been lied to by the Wall Street fat cats who get paid whether you win or lose. They say risk your life savings in the stock market, but studies show people who follow that advice will outlive their savings by a staggering 10 years. They say max out your contributions to 401ks, but the man who invented the 401k now says it's a monster that should be destroyed. They say defer paying your taxes to retire in a lower tax bracket, but retirees who fell for that lie are paying higher taxes than ever. Now get a free report exposing the wealth-killing lies you've been told and discover the proven retirement plan alternative Wall Street fat cats hope you never hear about. You can get guaranteed competitive growth every year and tax-free retirement income. Get your free report now at bankonyourself.com/save. That's bankonyourself.com/save. bankonyourself.com/save.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
This story is called The Ugly Truth About Timeshare. If you think you've done your family a favor by buying a timeshare, you need my help. Hello, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started helping folks cancel their timeshare. And in the process, started what's now called the timeshare cancellation industry. Timeshare is the only thing that you can buy that you can't tell me how much it's going to cost or when it's going to end. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check to fill out any amount they want for annual maintenance and assessment fees. The crazy thing is, this never ends. Even when you die, your family's now going to be stuck with this burden. Stop the insanity today. Call my office now. If we take you as a client, I guarantee we'll cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call for your free information kit. 800-990-3434. 800-990-3434. 800-990-3434.
WPHT, WPHT HD, WOGL HD3 Philadelphia. From the Cherry Hill Volvo Studios, where relationships matter. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Exergen thermometers are a top choice of medical professionals at highly rated hospitals across the U.S. Accuracy matters, so make Exergen the chosen thermometer for your home and family.
See Joe Conklin's comedy show at the Sellersville Theater in Sellersville with Paul Wyants and Brendan Donegan, Saturday, November 18th. For tickets, go to joeconklin.com. JoeConklin.com!
Tune in to Crash Proof Retirement Show, Saturdays at 11 a.m. to hear Phil Cannella and Joanne Small. The Crash Proof Retirement Show, Saturday mornings at 11 on Talk Radio 1210.
Lose weight and feel great with NJ Diet. NJ Diet uses DNA and blood work to help you lose weight and keep it off. Tune into the radio show Sunday at 2 or visit njdiet.com.
Hey, Kayal, we know your favorite station is Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Looking mighty fine. Here comes Hot Nancy. She's stepping right on time. Here go the street lights. Bring it on tonight. Here come the man. Faces hidden from the light.
Kayal and Company, 9:04. Welcome back in Friday morning, fourth and final hour as we head into the weekend. Nick, Dawn, and Greg here on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT. Get us on the free Odyssey app. Watch us live on YouTube. You could see videos and still shots of things like frogs, toads, Nick Kayal wearing makeup, looking like he's on a bender, crying all night. That would have been me last night if the Phillies would have lost, but they did not. If you're just tuning in, well, we started 3 hours and 4 minutes ago, so I don't know where the hell you've been.
Where
but
you been?
Yes, because we started at 6 o'clock. You can use the rewind feature on the app or, of course, go back on YouTube and catch up. But really, three big stories of the day, locally, nationally. You know, I started off this, the show this morning with a big take about the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms now more than ever today in the United States, as well as the lack of a true Second Amendment in Israel. And also tied that into the other big stories of the day, which are the fact that, according to Hamas, which some claim is a governmental institution, today is a global day of jihad. And, throughout this country, some people will be on high alert. And, obviously having the right to bear arms and the Second Amendment in this country is a beautiful thing on days where there are possibilities and threats that are out there. Also, the other story of the day, Steve Scalise yesterday, probably as your kids were getting off the bus yesterday, 3:30, he decides that he is going to step down because he was quickly realizing that he was not going to reach 217 votes. So it looks like it should be Jim Jordan. I know they will be having meetings starting at 10 o'clock today, so might break on Dawn's show or Dom's show or on Rich's show this afternoon. But I would say it is a very safe bet to make that Jim Jordan will be the Speaker of the House before they break for the weekend. And then, of course, the other big story locally, the Philadelphia Phillies back in the National League Championship Series. So if you want to jump in, 855-839-1210 is how you do so. We got our morning mystery movie clip in about 15 minutes as we have another chance to win Adam Lambert and Queen tickets at the Wells Fargo Center, which is coming up on Wednesday, the 18th. All right, so I've got some video here that we'll get to in a moment with a dad, a father of four, who decided to show up at a school board meeting to protest the more lenient dress code proposal that this school has placed. And it's only about 10 seconds long. There's no audio, so it's really for the YouTubers, but we'll walk you through it, so to speak, as this man strips down to a spaghetti strap crop top and shorts to kind of talk about how absurd these dress policies are in the school. And that's kind of where we go here for the next couple of minutes, because I want to start with this story. There is now a test that is going to spark a counter-revolution in education. And it's coming from the state of Florida, where they do things, I think, the right way. And a new College of Florida interim president, Richard Corcoran, is talking now about, and he was doing some media appearances. He was on Fox News discussing why the Ron DeSantis-backed public liberal arts school will now accept a new test, which is called CLT. It's called the Classic Learning Test. And this is a counter-revolution to the woke revolution that has invaded our schools. And this year, Florida adopted the Classic Learning Test as an alternative to the SAT and the ACT. And, this also kind of falls in line with some of these absurd things like critical race theory that they're teaching in schools and, all the gender nonsense and the pronouns. And we've seen post-pandemic where our students are. Hopefully your child is not affected, but there are many children throughout the United States that are a grade, 2 grades behind reading, math, because of the detrimental effects of the pandemic, and also this shift in identity education, which I think is beyond absurd. But this is a move to further show the evidence that the tide is turning in education and that CLT is the remedy that we need to redeem our failing education system. Now, the CLT sets students up for success in work and life because it orients educators to teach cultural literacy and critical thinking skills, two main pillars of knowledge that teenagers need to thrive in adulthood. And I want to stop just right there, because what are we seeing right now in colleges across the country? Protests, pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine. We are seeing people like Riley Gaines facing, and being stonewalled against free speech at, whether it's Penn State, the Bay Area, Alabama. And critical thinking and critical learning is a part of education, but certainly is something that I think when you're a junior or senior in high school, you start to really think about things, even though you're very immature and your brain's not fully developed. And then you get to college, and that's where you're like, you come up with your own theories, your own hypothesis. You want to challenge things. You do these dissertations and these long written out papers, and you make an argument, you present a case. And I feel like for the last handful of years, and it's probably been going on since before the pandemic, but I think it's really been highlighted in the last 3.5 years with this administration, they don't want critical thinking. They just want think tank ideology where everybody falls in line, left-wing mainstream media. This is the way it is. This is the way you will think, and we will have nothing to do with it, and we will hear nothing else. So this CLT in Florida, I think, is very interesting. I'll be curious to see how many states adopt it. Sadly, I think it'll fall on partisan lines where Florida, Texas, Georgia, maybe. I don't think you'll see it in Pennsylvania. Perhaps you see it in Ohio because they are certainly more red than Pennsylvania. But I thought that was interesting. And then that leads me to where I think parents are. And I know, Dawn, we always talk about parental rights and big victories. And we're seeing all these battles in school boards in Bucks County and other districts. I want to just play you this video because this is amazing. Let me just give you the context to this story. So a father of 4 recently was fed up with the new lenient dress code proposal at a school in Gilbert, Arizona. So to kind of point out the absurdity of what his children would be allowed to wear or exposed to, my guess is this father would not allow his children to dress like this. He recently stripped down to a spaghetti. And by the way, for all of you Photoshoppers out there, if you think about putting my head with the makeup on the spaghetti strap top,
oh, come on, that'd be delicious.
I will
That'd be
cancel
wonderful.
Somebody is already doing that. By the way, somebody put out a picture of you in makeup on the cover of the Rocky Horror Picture Show thing. So
is that is that Twitter only?
Yeah, it's just Twitter only. Keith Martin did it. Good job, Keith.
But I have a great idea.
Uh-oh.
We should put, because Nick is a true man. She's taking his daughters and his ex-wife
to see Sailor Twift.
To see, yes. So we should get a screenshot of Sailor Twift.
Yep.
And then put Nick in there all made up as like a backup singer.
As a Twifty.
As a Twifty.
As a little Twifty. Yeah. Oh, God. All right. So you guys have your fun on social media. I'll retweet all of it. I can take all of it. But this father apparently was not going to stand for it. And under this proposed policy, this would be appropriate in a classroom. We will post it on YouTube right now if Valdez wants to put it up. And we will kind of describe it for you. Okay. So this father's in a polo. He's dressed appropriately. Now he's stripping.
Oh boy.
Takes off the polo.
Some love handles.
He's got some boxer brief, short Daisy Duke things, and a spaghetti strap
like
crop top
thing.
Yeah.
Can you play that one more time,
Yes.
Daniel?
And then-
YouTube.com/@1210
Yeah.
WPHT if you want to see the video.
And maybe we can just isolate it then and leave that in the box as well.
No,
Everybody
no
gets
more
a box
boxes.
today. Everybody gets a box. Everybody must eat. So, yeah, look at this. This is just atrocious.
Do we see?
He's doing the DX,
the chop, yeah.
My God.
And so what's his point there?
So his point being that that would be permissible in the Gilbert, Arizona school board or school district, I'm sorry. That would be appropriate attire with their new laxed and lenient dress code. Now, my daughters go to public school, but they actually do have uniforms.
Yeah.
They have to wear either khaki, for my daughters, they wear like a khaki dress or like a skirt, and they can only wear solid colored T-shirts or polos. So they have a bunch of like little like generic cheap, cotton polos that you would never wear on a golf course when it's 100 degrees anymore because they make lighter stuff these days. And they have like 8 or 9 different colors, and they can wear that with the khaki dress skirt, or they can wear a T-shirt with no logo. The only printing on, they couldn't even wear a Kayal and Company shirt, sadly. The only printing they can have on the shirt is if it's Shane Elementary School apparel, which is permissible.
Gotcha.
So, like, this idea, and I don't know exactly what people send their kids out to dress, in the day and age of schools today, but what that guy is doing that we showed you on YouTube, kids that are in elementary school could go to school like that now, which, like, I'm not a stickler for, like, hey, I want my daughter to have all of her skin buttoned up. Like, I'm not going to be that. Hey, you're showing too much chest, like when they're 16. Like, I'm not going to be that guy.
Yeah.
But some of this stuff just kind of highlights, and I wanted to bring in this CLT stuff as well, just kind of where we are educational-wise and what our tax dollars are going to, parental rights. It all falls under the same stuff here.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to lay that out for people because, like, I really think the pandemic, if there was one, I hate to say one good thing from it, but I think it really woke up a lot of parents that might have been sleepwalking.
Yes.
Like, just, hey, Johnny gets off the bus at 3:30. How was school? Cool. All right, throw your book bag down. We got practice. Like, now people are more in tuned as to curriculum and policy, and I think that's a good thing. So
I agree. And to your point, I think it's because a lot of parents were working. I know so many moms who were working from home.
Yeah.
And either they were impressed, by on one point listening and thinking, oh, wow, great teacher, great class, or not so much.
Mhm.
And what did the teacher just say? What?
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, then you can't help but be focused on it. As far as the uniforms, I agree with you. In Philadelphia, in the public schools, and obviously the Catholic schools all have, and the parochial schools have some type of different levels of uniform. But Philadelphia public schools, mostly because of gang colors.
Correct.
And also as an economic relief for parents, so that there's not this, and that's what I love about uniforms, especially for girls,
Mhm.
is that it takes off the pressure
Right.
that, oh, I have this, whatever, my Lululemon, whatever, expensive stuff. And so it makes everybody just focus on school and the curriculum, because you're not focused on so-and-so's, whatever, what shirt or pant or skirt they're wearing. And usually they do what your daughters have,
Mhm.
the khakis or maybe
Yep.
gray, and then they'll have some color scheme that's allowed that's plain.
Yeah.
And that's, by the way, Nick, what you're saying is exactly what, for example, in Bucks County and Montgomery County, they've been accused of
Right.
being, phobic or what have you, because their policy is the shirts are plain. So we don't have any kind of writing of any kind, but they've said, well, you should make one exception and be able to have pride materials, but not anything else.
Right. Yeah.
And they've said, no, we just want plain.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
but you can have a little bracelet, you can have jewelry that would say Kayal and Company.
Right.
Or
Kayal and Company bracelets.
Right? Like those.
All right, guys, can
Mass
enough with
cool.
enough with the merchandising, merchandising.
It would be like Screech and Saved by the Bell with the Buddy Bands episode. Get your Buddy Bands.
But for Bucks County and Montgomery County,
You
most
really
of
can
those,
relate to an audience, Nick.
The numbers show I do.
but most of those schools will allow like jewelry, a bracelet, other things, something in your hair.
Yeah.
Just not the printout on a shirt.
Right. I mean, it is really remarkable. And then, I want to tie this last thing in here with what CBS's Gayle King just said a few days ago, saying that wokeism is truthism to her, and she's annoyed by the word. I'm annoyed by the word as well. Ron DeSantis has ruined that word for the rest of us, for the rest of our lives, using that word. But CBS Mornings host Gayle King blasted the use of the term wokeism as a pejorative used to describe radical left-wing beliefs, claiming she sees it as truthism instead. And this actually gets tied into Florida and the education system and what we're talking about here with CLT. King made the comments in context of correspondent Lisa Ling, which, by the way, I know I'm getting old now, where Lisa Ling is on CBS. She used to be on Channel 1 News that was aired in classrooms for homeroom in the 90s.
Yeah.
If you are my age or Greg's age, about 40, and you ever had Channel 1 News in your classroom in middle school, Lisa Ling was like the host of that. So, I mean, I guess she's worked her way up. Nice work out of her.
I should have spent more time at homeroom because I don't remember that at all.
Right. And if you would have adhered to homeroom and it starts.
We start at 6 a.m.
And then you go to first period.
Never made it to homeroom. Sorry.
Exactly right. Greg would get there at like 9:37. Sometimes his parents would drop him off. Sometimes the cops would. It just depended on the day.
Sorry.
So King made the comments in context of correspondent Lisa Ling's Tuesday story about Florida banning a CRT, critical race theory, influenced AP, Advanced Placement, African American History course earlier this year. So here we go again with the Ron DeSantis curriculum in Florida. It's not right, and of course nobody reads the curriculum for that advanced AP class. DeSantis, to his credit, has fought that battle. He's done very well with it. And she says, quote, "I know it's so sad to me now that the word wokeism has now almost become weaponized." So here we go again, Gayle King. Everything is weaponized in this day and age, right? Everybody's under attack, threats to democracy. Quote, "It's really missing the point about what's being taught here, I don't look at it as wokeism so much as truthism." Now, I already gave my definition months ago on this show for what I think woke means. But this is, and I would actually, just to kind of, bring it all home full circle here to the big story for the last 7 days with Israel and Hamas. Who are the ones that are pro-Hamas, pro-Palestinian efforts in this country right now? the left-wing woke people. And you see this thrown out on Twitter from a lot of conservative social media influencers, and it becomes a little exhausting at some point. But I think it's rooted and it's grounded and it's correct that wokeism destroys the brain. And as soon as you start adopting this and applying identity politics to everything you do, I think ultimately you get exposed. And there's countless examples that we have given you on this show where we have pointed out the hypocrisy of the left. But CBS's Gayle King, now I don't think wokeism is truthism. I think wokeism is a distorted reality in a world that you think you're living in and you're striving and fighting towards and for that is just not realistic. You know, you could throw so many things under the woke umbrella. Like Dylan Mulvaney, perfect example. Dylan Mulvaney was on our cut sheet today. It doesn't matter if Dylan Mulvaney tucks it, gets it chopped off, claims he's this or claims he's that. You were born a man, you will be a man until the day you die, and there are only two genders. But wokeism likes you to believe that because a college provides a drop-down box on a digital application and provides you 12 genders, you actually believe that there are 12 genders. There are not, because when you go to get gender reassignment surgery, and if you find a doctor that's willing to do it, the doctor will say, there are two options. I can make you a man, I'm using air quotes here, or I can make you a woman. I can't make you 11 different other things. But wokeism distorts reality, and I think people suffer from it.
Newman Price photoshopped you on Robert Smith from The Cure.
Yeah.
On his body, it says Radio Broadcast 1981. Instead of The Cure, it says The Kale.
Hey, I like that.
It's Friday. I'm in love.
All right. You play that coming out of break next time.
I'm going to.
Beautiful.
That's a good. That's good.
Yes.
Daniel, can we is there a way to put this and the Rocky Horror Picture Show into two separate things?
Just take all my photoshops and box them all up.
Go into,
I'll take a to-go order.
Just go into YouTube or just go into Twitter and search Nick Kale's name, and
I'm just
all of them are there.
I mean, honestly, at this point, exactly.
Hey, usually it's me that's getting messed on.
I know.
Sorry, Don.
Well, you deserve it.
It's true.
It's 9:22. Is there something going on?
Oh, look at Dawn following the show sheet, trying to keep us on track.
I was going to comment on that one vote. I'm going to send it to you because
Yeah.
there's another controversy to it, but it's 9:22.
That being said, as Dawn Stenzel would say, how about, you know what, Dawn? You throw it to what we do at 9:20 every morning. Right now, take it away. How do I do it? It's 9:20. It's time for...
And now, the Morning Mystery Movie Clip on Kayal and Company. Talk Radio
seamless,
1210, WPHT.
I was like a female frog playing possum.
Thanks, Dan. That's worth about 10 seconds. I'm on the air. Bye. Ahoy, mateys. This is KAB Antonio Bay. Stevie Wayne here, beaming a signal across the sea.
Yeah, baby.
To the men of the seagrass, 15 miles out tonight, a warm hello. And keep a watch out for that fog bank heading in from the east. Now, in the meantime, relax with me while I play this song from the Coupe de Villes.
Think you know what it is? Be call at 12 at 855-839-1210, and you could win this great prize.
Oh, man, how about that clip? That goes back to 1980. There's your clue. There's your hint. If you can identify that clip, call her 12, 855-839-1210. You will win a pair of tickets to see Queen and Adam Lambert next Wednesday. It's coming up soon, October 18th at the Wells Fargo Center. Call her 12, 855-839-1210. Queen and Adam Lambert tickets. If you can identify that movie from 43 years ago today. That was the release date. And we're back after this on Kayal and Company. Stay right there.
The future of joint pain relief is right here in the Philadelphia region. QC Kinetics, advanced regenerative medicine. Hey, Dawn Stensland here. If you've been told that more steroids or surgery are your only options, not so fast. Get a second opinion. Learn more about how you can harness your body's own healing agents to attack that joint pain. QC Kinetics does not mask the pain. These treatments go to the very core of the problem, using concentrated healing properties placed placed directly into your joint, which repairs and restores that damaged tissue. Imagine living life, especially this fall, with no more pain in your knees, your aching shoulder, your back, your hips. No drugs, no surgery, no downtime. Just call the local medical professionals, get a free consultation. QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. 215-999-3000. Just call QC Kinetics, 215-999-3000. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Hey, it's Rich Zioli. When it comes to all your home improvement needs, trust is everything. And that's why for years, I've been talking about the amazing work my friends Stephanie and Matt and the entire team at Emmons has done for me and my home. My roof, doors, windows, siding, and yes, remodeling projects. Emmons can bring that same quality of work to all of your kitchen and bathroom remodeling needs. Roofing, siding, windows, doors, and now baths and kitchens. Emmons is the Delaware Valley's one-stop shop for all of your home improvement needs. Call 856-556-3229 and get a free estimate, or go online to emmonsroofing.com, or even better, come visit the Emmons Design Showroom in Cherry Hill. emmonsroofing.com. It's about trust, it's about quality, it's about great work, and that's why me and my family have used them for basically every project we've done to improve our home. emmonsroofing.com.
Hi, this is Dr. Brad Schaefer. As a podiatrist, I can tell you no two people's feet are alike, which is why I recommend Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotic inserts. They're customized for your feet, so you get a unique solution your feet really need, not just a one-size-fits-all insole. They're clinically proven to provide pain relief for achy feet, knees, lower back, plantar fasciitis, and heels. Take the Dr. Scholl's custom fit orthotics assessment in Walmart today. Now in the foot care aisle.
This is Larry Steinhaus of Investor Schooling. I am so proud to announce the continuing success of our students at Investor Schooling. You already know that at Investor Schooling, we teach real estate investing and stock options. Did you also know that we teach things about tax savings, estate planning, and business coaching as well? We teach things about money I bet you never knew. At Investor Schooling, we teach from the perspective of true experience. If you want to see what our students think about Investor Schooling, please check out the over 160 5-star Google reviews. To find out more about how you can change your financial life, go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829. That's 866-424-2829, and you can attend a complimentary class this Thursday at 7 p.m. Attend that class and see for yourself what Investor Schooling is all about. Go to investorschooling.com or call 866-424-2829. That's 866-424-2829. We can't wait to see you this Thursday.
We know you're excited because Eagles football is back. With the free Odyssey app, you can jump back and listen to the moments that matter, even if you missed it live. Hear Marks and Reese break down the offense, or listen to Nick Sirianni's interview with the 94 WIP Morning Show.
Yeah, I've been in a game where we scored a touchdown, and I'm fist pumping with the fans. I don't think I've done that since I played college football.
Stay close to the Eagles wherever you are this season. Download the free Odyssey app today. AUDACY.
Can we just talk about this trip coming up? I'm dreaming of it, and I want you to come with me. Next, we are heading to southern Italy this coming spring on a gastronomical tour of the most beautiful coastline in the entire world, the Amalfi Coast. I want you to join me next spring for 12 magical days in luxury with the professionals who do it the best, once again from Conservative Tours. And yeah, I'm putting my good name on this. I'm promising you, as well as my own family, my husband Larry, Menti, my sons Michael and David, they'll be there too. First time they've really traveled outside the country. We did go to Alaska and Canada once when they were young. They don't even remember it. So they are biting at the bit for this. Can't wait. And we want you as well to join us with Conservative Tours. We're going to take the high-speed jet foil to the Isle of Capri, 5267. This includes your airfare, includes luxury hotels, unbelievable, delicious dining events. Just call toll-free 888-733-9494. You can go to conservativetours.com and you'll see all the information, the itinerary. Just look for my picture. And Italy's best-kept secrets. That's what we will explore. The Abbey of Monte Cassino, Puglia, medieval Caserta, Sorrento, Pompeii, of course, Rome, all the ancient sites. Join me next spring in southern Italy. See you on the Isle of Capri. Conservativetours.com. talkradio1210.com. Tell them Dawn sent you.
Follow Talk Radio 1210 on Instagram and Facebook at 1210 WPHT.
It's Kayal Company, the YouTube video right now.
Do you see it?
Oh, jeez. You guys are all savages. Barbaric savages, I tell you. See, it pays to watch. It pays to watch. Oh, God. The show you didn't know you'd love until you thought about living without it. I'm just a punching bag in here 20 hours a week.
Oh, that's not true.
Fighting for all of you out there in radio land.
Yeah, listen to this. Martyr Kayal.
Mostly peaceful, most of the time. It's unbelievable. Oh, boy. And 9:31. Good to have all of you in. Hopefully you take advantage of today. Beautiful outside. Don't stay inside on Twitter, and don't let Hamas scare you.
And by the way, can we get to 200 likes on the YouTube?
201.
200 likes.
213 Friday.
Do I hear 207?
We need 54 more likes. So if you're watching right now, please hit the like button. Thank you.
Okay. 855-839-1210. We have a pair of tickets to give away for Queen and Adam Lambert coming up this Wednesday, October 18th. And Matt is in Center City, and he is with us with the correct answer. Matt, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Good morning on Friday. I'm happy, Greg. I'm happy to win the tickets. It's John Carpenter's The Fog.
John Carpenter, that is
the movie.
correct. Yep, that is
and
correct.
I got something to cheer Greg up. I don't know if it's allowed, though, so I'm going to run it by him.
Yeah, we like Greg angry. Don't cheer him up.
No, well, this one you'll enjoy. Take the word Hamas and add holes to the end. And I don't know if you can say it on the radio.
I like
I'm giving you that, Greg. I want you to use that in the future.
I appreciate it.
Well, congratulations, Matt. You got yourself the tickets, and we appreciate you listening. I think he was calling from the fourth floor stall.
I know, right?
On speakerphone. But that's what you got to do sometimes when you call this station. So you don't want the bosses to catch you. God almighty. All right. I'm sure we'll have some more tweets and some Photoshops, so we'll go to those, or Valdez will call break in live and put them up on the screen if you're watching. But right now, 9:33, Greg's got about 13,000 pages left of audio left, so let's get to what's on the cut sheet part 2.
What's on the cut sheet?
Part 2. We played this earlier, but I want to play it again. For those of you just tuning in now, look, it was a late night last night. I'm sure people got late starts to their day today. So people, 9:30 is early for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So where you been? But it's okay.
Yeah.
Steve Scalise announced last night that he was dropping out of the speaker race, and this is how that sounded. Cut 12, Daniel.
I know we've been following this. It's been quite a journey, and there's still a long way to go. I just shared with my colleagues that I'm withdrawing my name as a candidate for the Speaker designee. If you look at over the last few weeks, if you look at where our conference is, there's still work to be done. Our conference still has to come together and is not there. There are still some people that have their own agendas. And I was very clear, we have to have everybody put their agendas on the side and focus on what this country needs. This country is counting on us to come back together. This House of Representatives needs a speaker, and we need to open up the House again. But clearly, not everybody is there. And there's still schisms that have to get resolved.
I actually like everything he said there. And you think about his last 6 years of his life. I believe it was 2017, the baseball incident where he was under attack. He's been dealing with cancer. And then all of a sudden you get the chance to, become the Speaker of the House. And within 24 hours, you realize you're basically not wanted in that position. I thought from being a professional, he was really well-spoken there and very factual and accurate with the fact that he's saying, look, there's still a lot of divide. And now, is everybody going to come together and get on the same page? As Dawn always says, GOP, get it together. I still have my doubts. I don't think they will. But all in all, considering a rough stretch for that guy, he looked pretty good there.
Do you think, be honest, do you think it's a slam dunk that Jim Jordan gets the...
I do.
You do?
I mean, who else would it be at this point? I mean, I don't even know that there's a distinctive other name that has been thrown out there that has a puncher's chance. I mean, it was Jim Jordan and Scalise were the two that everybody was running with. My list was Jordan and Byron Donalds. Byron Donalds, okay, pipe dream. Maybe 10 years from now.
Could there be a chance? Could there be a possibility that Hakeem Jeffries ends up getting it?
Oh God! Don't even say that.
Don't even say that.
It's a sin.
It's a sin. I'm just saying. Like, I don't know. With all of this, them not being able to get their stuff together.
It's got to be Jim Jordan. I mean, and I get it. You're going to have the MAGA base versus the rhinos, and of course, Jim Jordan has been backed publicly by Trump. Trump has come out saying that Jim Jordan would make an excellent speaker, great leader. Certainly aligns with Trump on a lot of the stuff policy-wise, and that would be my guy. Now, what's interesting about Jim Jordan is when I floated that out 10 days ago and I gave my list, I had a couple of people, and I'm a little surprised. There was a few that said Jim Jordan talks a good game, but he's not going to deliver on what the MAGA base really wants. I don't know about that. I think Jim Jordan is about as good as you're going to get.
Yeah.
I think it should be a woman.
Oh, wow.
I'm just I'm teasing.
No, okay.
I'm totally I had to just mess with you.
Okay.
I would never say that.
I don't know why.
Dawn's anti-woman.
I don't know.
No,
why
I'm not anti-woman. I just think the best person should. Truthfully,
that's messing with us.
I don't care if Jim Jordan's dog gets it at this point. GOP, Scott Perry, please. Scott Perry was tweeting about that he's thrilled with Jim Jordan. Fine, I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Just get it together, pick a House leader, unite, and just move. Just move forward, please.
Yeah.
Right?
There's a lot of things on their they have a pretty big to-do list, and as these days go by, and then you throw in what happened 7 days ago, this is not the time to be kind of taking and going and vetting the process and going you need to move.
It's like my mom said. What's said at the kitchen table stays at the kitchen table, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, everything that they've argued out publicly and Matt Gaetz said about the budget and so on, I fully agree with.
Yep.
I just don't want it outside the house. Keep it inside the house.
I would also say this too. We gave you the story last week about how it looks like things are trending where the House could flip back blue, and the Senate could go red. I don't know about that second part, but at this moment in time, on October 13th, in year one of taking back the House, as far as control-wise with the GOP, they look like they're one and done.
What about Trump tweeting yesterday or whatever he was doing, truth socialing, about Steve Scalise's cancer and how it's not the right time for him to be speaker because he needs to concentrate on his health?
That's the same sentiment Marjorie Taylor Greene echoed as well.
There were a lot of people.
Is that a little insensitive, though?
I don't know if it's insensitive or if it's an excuse to say that you don't want him.
Well, he didn't call him like Cancer Boy or something. There was nothing insensitive like that.
But I think what you're seeing is a lot of the people, whether it's Marjorie Taylor Greene or Trump, that want Jim Jordan are using the Steve Scalise is not in the best of health argument to take this position.
Look at him. He looks
pretty good,
it's
I
a really
thought.
stressful.
You think he looks bad there?
Really pale.
Does he?
To me,
I didn't notice that.
It's stressful.
Can we go back to that clip? Actually, I would like to if you could just play 10 seconds of it. It doesn't matter what part.
And I love Steve. I love Steve Scalise.
Yeah, I don't really love him.
No, as a person though, I think he is beloved as a person.
All right, I'm gonna play
after
again.
he was shot.
You're right.
Cut 12.
I know we've been following this. It's been quite a journey, and there's still a long way to go. I just shared with my colleagues that I'm withdrawing my name as a candidate for the Speaker designee.
What are we playing it for if there's no video?
I don't know.
If you look at over the last...
Okay, never
Well,
mind.
the point being I was going to make by just replaying it again was that if you look at him there, and if I said he has cancer, my response would be, He looks pretty good for a guy that has cancer. I don't notice much with him.
To be honest with you,
what that's worth.
that was my first thought with this was that, like, you know, my wife's aunt had this and died of it. And it's a very serious.
What kind of cancer does he have again?
It's
blood.
It's a blood, like it's multiple myeloma, right?
Yeah.
Dawn? Forgive me if I got.
Isn't
the
that
name
what
wrong,
Jimmy
but-
Buffett ultimately?
No, he had lymphoma, I think. So it's a very strong, like it's a bad cancer.
Mhm.
So, like, yes, you would think that he would need time and everything to, you know, because
Right.
that's a stressful job.
Oh, of course.
But I don't know. Like, does the Americans versus Disabilities Act prevent that from? I don't know.
That I don't know.
I want to know what you guys think for what the punishment should be for this. Now, it's a little dark. It's a little morbid, and I don't mean to end on a dark and morbid thing, but I've been sitting on this for a couple of days, and because everything we've been playing seems dark and morbid, but I've been sitting on this, and I think it's a horrific story, but I think it's an interesting, like, what should the outcome be? CVS, the pharmacy, messed up, and this was in Nevada, and it killed a mother's preborn baby after it accidentally gave her drugs used for abortions instead of medications to prevent miscarriages.
Oh my God! How do you bungle that up?
So apparently, mixing up medications like this is common, and apparently, this poor woman has been struggling to have kids. She has a few other ones. She's been struggling to have kids, and finally got pregnant, and then this happened. This is from KLAS TV 8 News News Now out of Nevada. I'm sorry, Daniel. Hang on. Cut 1, Daniel.
It's just like, how?
How? That is the question we'll all be asking ourselves tonight.
And it is also the question our 8 News Now investigator Kyle Payne is asking after that woman's horrifying story was made public at a recent pharmacy board hearing.
First, a warning, some of you, our viewers, might find this story hard to watch. Kyle, it really is a shocking story that could happen to any of us.
Denise Bryan, the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency, says it receives 100,000 complaints a year about suspected medication errors. We met Tamika Thomas just a few days ago, a few years after she went into a CVS in North Las Vegas. She got medication she thought was going to help make her pregnant, but the pharmacy got it all wrong.
God.
I don't come from a big family, so I wanted to make sure I had a big family.
Tamika Thomas loves her big family. She has 4 beautiful, healthy kids and wanted one more. She was having trouble getting pregnant back in 2019 and more trouble when she had to have her fallopian tubes removed after 2 dangerous pregnancies. But she wanted to fight to grow her family. The fight you ended up having
was a fight that I would have never imagined I would be fighting.
The fight, it turns out, is against CVS, this branch in North Las Vegas in particular. She went in there to get prescriptions to help jumpstart her in vitro pregnancy. She went home, took the medication, and started to cramp.
Cramping is, a norm, but my cramping went beyond that. It was extreme. It was painful.
So painful, she knew something was wrong. Expecting a drug that would trick her body into thinking it was pregnant, she checked the bottle. And your life changed that day. 2 CVS pharmacists who ended up in front of the pharmacy board had made a handful of errors filling Tamika Thomas's prescriptions. They ended up giving her a drug meant to terminate the pregnancy for which she had fought so hard.
They did exactly the opposite of what I was trying to do.
Not okay.
Not at all. I understand people make mistakes.
This is her testimony.
Yeah.
And that mistake took something from me.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so obviously there's a lawsuit to be had there. I feel awful for that lady. But the other, go ahead.
To go through IVF and to have fertility issues, which so many people do, you go through so much. And so here she is pregnant, and they're just trying to maintain her hormone levels to maintain the pregnancy. and to give her that wrong medication. Oh my God!
How alarming is it? The stat that they gave that this happens on average 100,000, not pregnancy, but medication mishaps.
I know.
100,000 times a year.
Yeah.
So if you're going there for whatever it is, whatever you might be taking.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, it's a red. I'm sorry, Greg.
No, go.
I think it's a red flag for everybody.
Absolutely.
That you always want to check, but the problem here was that this is a different kind of a medication.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's not like your regular heart medication where you might recognize something.
Right.
And so...
And the label could be correct, but the actual pill form itself could be, completely different.
They said that they should have... Because usually they'll say, if it's something new that you've never taken, they'll say, have you taken? And they'll name the thing before.
Yeah.
And so they're supposed to go through a protocol. They apparently didn't do that. So now they're being fined, and their licenses are suspended, but only provisionally, if you can imagine that. But this is horrifying.
Yeah.
Oh my!
Well, so what? Obviously, there's a lawsuit.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
Doesn't bring her baby back,
what
and
do
she
you-
may never be able to have kids. And she just now they force her to have a miscarriage, basically.
What do you do to the employees? Obviously, they're fired.
Well, you have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, do they bear responsibility for this? I would assume so, right?
Well, I think they're probably gonna lawyer up, and what they're gonna say is, I can tell you at the CVS pharmacy where every time I'm there picking up like Michael's medication for his type 1 diabetes.
Yeah.
No matter what time I go,
You look at it.
I do look at it, but they're so busy.
Oh, I know.
It's
I hate
and they're
going
in
there.
that fishbowl
I
because they've
know.
got the drive-in on one side, the customers on the other side. They can't even, like one time, literally there were pharmacists and somebody had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
I'm like, just take your break, but they don't get a break.
Yeah,
they're overworked.
A lot of the Walgreens pharmacists have like walked out and are striking.
Yeah.
because of lack of help. And,
And
stuff
every
like that.
time I go, it's amazing how they can never find my prescription. I get the text.
What is your
CVS has said your order is ready. You go there. What's your last name? Kayal. Date of birth. Blah, 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 blah. So, and then they're looking around. They're flipping through the bins and
I know.
Like over there. There's the K's are over there.
It's
Can I
horrendous.
get out of here today, please?
Yeah, I mean, like, could they be charged with something like involuntary manslaughter or something like that? I mean, I
would
don't know.
I would think this is more of a civil case, like a monetary but what's the dollar amount that gives you
there's
like
none.
that restores
There's
you,
none.
right?
There's none.
You're never whole again from that.
No.
But like,
No.
can they be responsible for like involuntary?
I'm wondering what type
struggling
of
to say that.
I wonder what
Involuntary.
type of protection pharma has in these cases.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
It's a great question.
I mean, to me, I think it's a horrifying on-the-job mistake. Obviously, I mean, unless they can somehow prove that they were just that this was on purpose, right, or that they were negligent. But
what kind of human being would do that on purpose? By the way,
well, I mean,
Jesus.
But I mean, if you accidentally hit somebody and kill them,
right?
But
it's still you're still tried as like it could be an accident, but
that's correct.
But can I just point something out? Think about this. This is horrific, and this is her baby. This is her. When you have IVF, you have early on. You have all those sonograms, so you have images of your. Even if you're in the first trimester, they probably had a name. Their other kids were all excited. We're having a girl. This and that. So think about this right now and how this would be treated, and think about law enforcement. When a law enforcement officer shoots and kills somebody, even if they've made a mistake in protocol, even if they thought somebody was reaching for a gun and let's say it was a knife, but they in that flash moment thought that, think about the way different professions are treated, whether this is a pharmaceutical situation or medical malpractice as far as doctors. But in law enforcement, it's the one profession that if one officer makes that flash decision in the midst of chaos, and God forbid it turns out to be tragic, it makes national news, and they are all dragged through the mud.
That's correct.
Actually,
on a day when we have 2 Philadelphia police officers shot, 1 killed.
Why don't we do this since we're over here? Dawn, can you talk to us real fast about Piazza?
Yes, of course. It's honestly, it's in my scrapbook now. With the first tooth underneath the pillow, first day in kindergarten, and for the first time taking our teenage son, Michael, to Piazza Honda of Philadelphia. Seriously, I have all the pictures. It's in our scrapbook. It's a moment. It's a rite of passage that we share now. And I feel like they're family. I mean, seriously, Ross and Tony, Vince and Kristen, yeah, they're in the family album because we had such an amazing experience with our friends at the Piazza Auto Group and specifically Philadelphia Honda here. But did you know that Piazza does carry more than 1,200 pre-owned vehicles? That's at any given time, not just the brands that you've heard me mention or Nick mention, because we have Hondas. Nick has the Ridgeline, right, which we've teased as a minivan, but really, honestly, it's a pickup truck with a better ride for his little girls and that sort of thing. Mine is the minivan, and then Michael has the Honda Civic. But, you know, maybe it's an Acura, Mazda, Hyundai, Volkswagen, but they've got pretty much any other brand that you've seen that you're interested in. That's the power of the Piazza Auto Group. So you can just visit Piazza, Piazza, PiazzaAutogroup.com. You want to search their pre-owned inventory, or for that Piazza dealer nearest you. They're all over Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware. But make sure you tell them Dawn sent you. And Nick, too.
All right, Dawn, thank you very much. I'll be getting in my Piazza truck in just about, I'll call it 8 minutes. I've got it timed out to a science as to when I get back to the parking lot. And by the time I get out of the parking lot, it'll be 10 o'clock, and the Dawn Show will be live and on the air on a Friday, and we find out what Dawn has lined up for the next 2 hours.
Yeah, we're gonna update you. There's so much breaking right now as I'm speaking locally and nationally, internationally. So we're talking about all of these different things. There's new Donald J. Trump news coming out. We've got the House Speaker debate. And locally, what's going on with this situation with now in Bucks County? I'll take you to what's happening there with the upcoming elections. It's gotten really ugly at the county level against some of those parents who are now running for school board, and as well as at Montgomery County. And the latest, I'll say, assault on Moms for Liberty and how they're being labeled, it is ridiculous locally. So we'll take you through all of this coming up on the Dawn Show.
Okay. And one quick note before we get to who won Twitter today. We got a couple of minutes here. The way that Trump is being portrayed from the DeSantis camp is, I think, completely irresponsible, with the clip in which Trump was talking about other global leaders being smart and intelligent people. I don't know if he was talking. I think he was talking about Xi. There was others.
I mean, he praised Hezbollah, or not praised them, but called them really smart.
Well, I mean, you can sit there. I mean, you can have people that have sinister intentions that are evil that are still smart with the way. Like, there are certain leaders. I think, as much as I want them all taken out, like I think Xi. I don't think Xi is a stupid guy. I don't think some of these people. I mean, we even see criminals in this country, like we say, well, criminals aren't stupid. They know what's going on with the lack of prosecution and lack of law and order in this country. I thought it was, and look, it's not surprising. It's politics. You try to take anything you can and twist it. But like that's the last grasp that the DeSantis camp has at this point right now. Yeah. I'm like, if that's your best shot, you're probably much on your last leg anyway. So. And it has. I don't think it's really gone over with anybody. Nah. It's another blow that it hasn't landed, so to speak.
Well said.
I'm not sure if that's what you were teasing, but I
played a snippet of it yesterday, but I think to your point, he should have. Trump would have behooved him to use the word cunning, maybe on second reference. But when he says they're smart, in the if you listen to the context of it, right, he's saying they're cunning, they're planning, and they are smart. Well, obviously, they outsmarted the Israelis and the entire worldwide intelligence community.
He's praised in some contexts Kim Jong-un as well. But
that was Hezbollah. He was not Hamas.
Right. And
but he's saying they're cunning.
But he's also pretty smart from this. I'm talking about Trump. Like, he will kind of stroke some of these people a little bit, even if it means taking backlash. Under the guidance of, hey, I kept the world pretty peaceful.
Guys, if Biden or Obama would have said that, we would have been wall-to-wall coverage of it. Let's be honest. Come on.
That's fair.
Come on.
No,
we would have played it in context. I think we would play it and let people respond to it.
I think the DeSantis ad was kind of taken out of context.
Okay. Would we, Dawn?
Yes.
Would we have that nuance if Biden or Obama said it? Okay.
All right. 9:54. Let's find out who won Twitter today.
Who won Twitter?
Snow Bunny Gal wins Twitter. She says, my second student of the day is absent, so I'm able to sit here at my desk and get a lot of prep done, and I'm finally, for the first time ever, logging into Kayal and Company on YouTube, and this is what I see, and it's the pictures of Nick.
She's one and done.
Dressed up as a woman with the Rocky Horror Picture Show and The Cure.
Look at the hair.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my.
Thank you, Daniel, for putting it up there.
Yes. All right. Congratulations for her.
Amazing.
All right. That'll do it for us. Stay tuned. The Dawn Show. Oh, by the way, we're so caught up in Phillies hysteria. There's still an Eagles game.
Eagles
on Sunday,
game.
by the way.
Oh my gosh.
Eagles and the Jets on Sunday. I believe Stocker's up $40. I think the number, as I get it here quickly,
Yeah, where's
is
my $40, Nick?
The Eagles. I'm going to Venmo it to you. The Eagles are a 7-point favorite, and the over/under's 41. I'm going to take the Jets getting 7.
Wow.
I like the Eagles in a low-scoring, ugly, grinded-out, no Aaron Rodgers game affair. I'll take the Eagles by less than a touchdown, and I like under 41, Gregory.
I'm going to take the Eagles 28 and the New York Jets 12.
Okay. I'll take, let's go 23-17.
Okay.
Eagles.
23-17. Eagles.
23-17.
Eagles.
Yeah.
And then we'll make predictions. We'll make predictions Monday for the first,
That's right. Game 1 Monday night.
Yeah.
All right, everybody have a great weekend. The Dawn Show is coming up next. We'll talk to you Monday morning at 6. I'm done with Steve Scalise. I'm done with Hamas. I'm done with all of it.
And what about tonight?
I'm done with Sailor Twift.
Park's done.